Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Jujutsu Kaisen. The Snow Woman wife at the beginning is so beautiful. Chapter 1. The weather in June was still very hot and humid, but Qingshan Ice Garden was unusually cool, as if in a space full of warm and cold air. In a room, Lan Shuyan, who was sleeping on the table, sneezed, looked up dazedly, and didn't react for a while. But soon, the confusion in Lan Shuyan's eyes disappeared, and his strangely dark eyes looked around. Lan Shuyan is very tall, 1.9 meters tall. With black hair and handsome looks, he is wearing a modern white Chinese-style casual tang suit. The whole person looks gentle and elegant, a proper elegant and easy-going handsome guy. He stood up and stretched, and the white sheet draped over him fell to the ground. He was exhausted recently. Because of his grandfather's death, he accepted all his grandfather's inheritance. After taking care of all the affairs of his grandfather's funeral, he came to the Qingshan Ice Garden in the Ryukyu Islands of Japan, which has a historical atmosphere. To be honest, Lan Shuyan doesn't understand. His parents are both busy, and they are not both dead. Why is the inheritance designated for him? Wouldn't it be better for him to just be a novelist? Plagiarists can make him rich. Lan Shuyan's grandfather is an old antique. I heard from his grandfather that this Qingshan Ice Garden has existed since the Ming Dynasty. It is located on the Ryukyu Island closest to the Wandao province. Japan has always insisted that the Ryukyu Islands are Japanese territory, but the residents of the Ryukyu Islands do not recognize that they are Japanese at all, and often make things like Ryukyu independence. Lan Shuyan's ancestors were also capable. The Qingshan Ice Garden has been here since the Jiajing period of the Ming Dynasty. In addition, the government here is now actively helping to develop the economy here, so the land in Lan Shuyan's hands is also worth a lot of money. Grandpa is really something. Before he left a will telling me not to sell this place and I must inherit it. He said there was a guest here. There is a ghost, there is no hair at all. The dust can be pressed to be used as black chalk. Lan Shuyan really couldn't understand the meaning of his grandfather's suicide note. Although this Qingshan Ice Garden looks simple and a bit similar to the architectural style of the Ming Dynasty, the wood is also very good. At least Lan Shuyan can see that after nearly 500 years, it is still strong and solid. But Lan Shuyan searched inside and out yesterday. Except for some dust and historical antiques, there was no smell of living people at all, and he spent a lot of time cleaning up. This made Li Shuyan wonder if his grandfather was teasing him. Forget it, I'm hungry. Let's go out and find something to eat. Lan Shuyan stood up and raised his hand to scratch his hair, but found that his palm was wrapped in a layer of neat gauze with a faint fragrance. This reminded Li Shuyan that he seemed to have accidentally scratched his palm with a cracked mirror yesterday, but he did not bandage the wound, but directly rinsed it with clean water and stopped the bleeding with a tissue and left it alone. Why did I suddenly fall asleep yesterday? After cleaning the wound, I felt very sleepy and tired, as if an orange had been squeezed many times, and then I fell asleep on the table. Lan Shuyan thought about it for a while, but finally gave up because his stomach was protesting. Let's go get something to eat. By the way, how come it's colder than when I first arrived? Is this a characteristic of the nights in June in the island country? Lan Shuyan touched his arm, then took a step, and then froze for a moment. He looked down at the white sheet under his feet, bent down to pick it up and took a look, only to find that it was not a sheet, but a large kimono, and the fabric looked very good, with a light fragrance on it. This made Lan Shuyan shudder. Because he had already confirmed that there were no signs of human life in this Qingshan Ice Garden, so who helped him bandage his wounds and cover him with this kimono that looked very valuable? Ghosts. Lan Shuyan would definitely be afraid of male ghosts, he was so timid. But for female ghosts, Lan Shuyan felt that he would be so courageous if he could let the other party take maternity leave. That's right, as long as it was a female ghost, his upper limit of courage was extremely high, but if it was a male ghost, then his lower limit of courage was extremely low. Are you awake? At this time, a female voice echoed. The voice sounded clear and pleasant, just like the beauty of a nightingale in a valley. Gentle, elegant, ethereal. This made Lan Shuyan look at the source of the voice, and then his eyes widened, and his gaze was fixed on the person who suddenly appeared. Because at this moment, there was a woman floating in the air with squinting eyes and smiling. She was wearing a white kimono, and her skirt fluttered like waves. The blue hair fell on her cheeks, Her eyebrows were clear and her eyes were beautiful, but because of that touch of blue, people felt quiet and gentle, and her body floating in the air was as beautiful as a dance of all kinds of charm. People fall in love when they see her, and they are ashamed when they see the moon. As the saying goes, a beautiful woman has the appearance of a flower, the voice of an oriole, the spirit of the moon, the posture of a willow, the bones of jade, the skin of ice and snow, and the posture of autumn water. See the short comment here for the character setting. The author is in the picture above. As a novelist, this is the evaluation that Lan Shuyan can make. Although he was stunned by her appearance, Lan Shuyan quickly reacted. He could feel the already cold air becoming even colder. The coldness spread from the heart to the limbs. Oops, how rude. I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Qingshan Shuiji. I am a widow, and I was sealed in the mirror flower and water moon in the 30th year of the Meiji era. Your blood breaks the seal of the mirror, and I can escape from the mirror and live in this world again. As you can see, I am the snow woman in Japanese legend. It's a cursed spirit. Qingshan Shuiji still revealed a gentle smile, and turned in a circle in the air. The loose kimono swayed with her movements, revealing her long white and pink legs. At the same time, there were crystal snowflakes floating around her, and the snowflakes floated towards Lan Shuyan's face with her movements. This made Lan Shuyan stunned for a moment, because he remembered that his grandfather's suicide note wrote that the name of the resident here was Qingshan Shuiji. Could it be that the resident in his grandfather's mouth was her? To be honest, although Lan Shuyan had lived for so long and this was the first time he encountered such a thing that subverted his worldview, some of them were just surprises and surprises. Give her maternity leave. Definitely give her maternity leave. He even thought of the name of the child. You don't seem to be afraid of me. In fact, I don't feel any fear from you. Qingshan Shuiji looked at Lan Shuyan with a smile. As a cursed spirit, she could feel the fear of humans. But Lan Shuyan didn't show any fear, which meant that Lan Shuyan was not afraid of her, a cursed spirit, which was very abnormal. I am also very curious, are humans nowadays no longer afraid of cursed spirits like me? Why can you be so calm? Qingshan Shuiji floated around Lan Shuyan, and she looked at Lan Shuyan with great interest. And Lan Shuyan here, would he be scared? What a joke. He was so excited now. Lan Shuyan looked at Qingshan Shuiji floating around him. As a senior writer, he was sure that Qingshan Shuiji could definitely hit the excitement points of men in various ways. The attributes of squinty eyes, the attributes of super beauty, the attributes of a married woman, the attributes of a widow, the attributes of a ghost mother. Wait, Lan Shuyan suddenly reacted. Cursed spirit. Lan Shuyan is a reborn person, born with memories of his past life. But to be honest, he has lived peacefully until he is 20 years old. There is no spiritual revival, strange arrivals, and the history and humanities are very similar to those of his previous life, so Lan Shuyan regards this place as a parallel world to the original Earth. But what does he hear now? Cursed spirit, it can't be the one he knows, right? This can't be the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Because life in the first 20 years was too normal, Lan Shuyan never thought that he would travel to the world of anime, okay. So, if you are a curse spirit, are there any curse masters? Lan Shuyan asked Qingshan Shuiji uncertainly. This woman didn't seem to have any hostility towards her, but gave him a very close feeling. Oh, it seems you don't know the identity of your ancestors. Your ancestor Lan Daoxing is a sorcerer, with the same talent as you. He was the one who sealed me. After all, only his blood can remove the seal with the ability of mirror flowers and water moon. Qingshan Shuiji stopped directly in front of Lan Shuyan, raised her slender hands and held Lan Shuyan's cheeks. Lan Shuyan could feel the extreme coldness of Qingshan Shuiji's fingers, so cold that there was some frost powder on Lan Shuyan's cheeks. You are very handsome, just like the husband I fell in love with. Qingshan Shuiji's voice was still gentle, like the sound of nature. I say, what is the situation now? If I remember correctly, the records show that Qingshan Shuan should have been sealed in the mirror flower and water moon hundreds of years ago, right? Why did she run out? Just when Lan Shuyan was about to sink into the gentle voice of the snow girl, a magnetic and somewhat cynical voice echoed. This made Qingshan Shuiji turn around and look over. Lan Shuyan was the same. At this time, leaning against the ancient gate was a 1.9 meter tall man in black with white hair and bags under his eyes. This easily recognizable appearance reminded Lan Shuyan of the man in Jujutsu Kaisen, who had 3 versions. The Strongest King version 1.0, the Challenged version 2.5, and the Otsutsuki Unit 5.0 version of Gojo Satoru. But why did he appear here? This is the Yukyu Islands, far away from the main battlefield. Imaginary special grade cursed spirit Chingshin Shuenu, you are in danger. Gojo Satoru put his hands in his pockets and walked towards Chingshin Shueiji and Lan Shuyan with a step that didn't recognize any relatives. He touched his chin, and his blindfolded eyes seemed to be able to see them clearly. Interesting. You tamed the snow girl. But I don't feel any power in you. How strange. Gojo Satoru showed great interest in Lan Shuyan. The tip of his nose almost touched the tip of Lan Shuyan's nose. After all, the two were about the same height, and Lan Shuyan was about 1.9 meters tall. Allah, this child is mine, why would a man compete with me for a man? Chingshin Shueiji floated directly behind Lan Shuyan, stretched out her hand to hold Lan Shuyan in her arms, and the entire back of Lan Shuyan's head was swallowed up by Chingshin Shueiji's fullness, leaving only Lan Shuyan's cheeks exposed, and at the same time making Lan Shuyan's head far away from Gojo Satoru's head. But Lan Shuyan was thinking, what the hell, I tamed the snow girl. When did I tame the snow girl? Why didn't I know it myself? Before today, I didn't even know that I was in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I didn't know what ability I had to tame the snow girl. Also, who is Lan Daoxing that Chingshin Shueiji mentioned just now? As for why Lan Shuyan can understand Japanese, it is not surprising. Because Lan Shuyan himself is proficient in the 3 languages. Mandarin is natural, English is learned in school, and Japanese is taught by Japanese teachers who cosplay ghosts. How to do it? I'm only here to take away Sukuna's finger that was placed in this seal. I didn't expect to meet a snow woman, and a snow woman who was tamed by an ordinary person without cursed power. Gojo Satoru was still careless. She was thinking about what to do with Lan Shuyan. After all, the imaginary cursed spirit snow woman was a famous special cursed spirit thousands of years ago. In the best case, it would only harm one person in a few decades. In the worst case, a country would enter an ice age. Moreover, after the snow woman takes down a target, she will freeze the area within a radius of 1 kilometer. Her threat is really unstable. Execute her. Yes, execute her. You are Gojo Satoru, right? Lan Shuyan suddenly broke free from Chingshin Shueiji's arms. It's not that Chingshin Shueiji's arms were not soft, but it was too cold. If she didn't cling to him, she could act like an air conditioner. But if she clung to him, she felt like she was in a refrigerator with a temperature of dozens of degrees below zero. Oh, you recognize me. Logically, my name is usually only known to sorcerers and related personnel, and you are obviously. Gojo Satoru was halfway through his speech when he suddenly froze for a moment. Then he took off his eye mask, revealing his beautiful blue eyes, staring at Lan Shuyan's black eyes, and then thought thoughtfully. Interesting, why did you, who had no magical power just now, suddenly start to generate magical power? And it's about the same as mine. Gojo Satoru was obviously very interested in Lan Shuyan. Lan Shuyan was confused because he really felt that some kind of energy suddenly appeared in his body. He felt that this thing was very strange and very familiar. But Chingshin Shueiji was obviously not surprised at all, but stood quietly beside him like a good wife and mother. She had no intention of helping Lan Shuyan explain. And the snow girl also saw that Gojo Satoru in front of her was definitely not a simple person, because those eyes were definitely the famous 6 eyes. I see. Do you also have special talents and abilities? Are you interested in joining the Jujutsu High School? Otherwise, with your ability and the tamed snow girl, you will be put on our surveillance list. If you don't want to be monitored, you will be punished, that is, killed. Gojo Satoru suddenly invited Lan Shuyan. I hate being threatened, but I think I can join. After all, I think your world should be very interesting. Lan Shuyan agreed without even thinking about it. He didn't have the necessary system for traveling through time, but from what Gojo Satoru revealed, Lan Shuyan knew that he had a special talent similar to Gojo Satoru's 6 eyes, although he himself didn't know what the talent was. But this did not affect his choice after knowing that this was the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, which was to join this world of mutual curses. Moreover, Lan Shuyan felt that the two choices of being monitored and refusing to die were unnecessary. The widow's wife, the snow woman, must be the best, okay. She can poke at men's habits in various ways, right? As a virgin, he must want to be Ning Kaichen for once. Of course, if possible, it would be even better to be Ning Kaichen a few more times. As long as it is a female cursed spirit, he feels that he can. Yo, then come with me. Gojo Satoru put the blindfold back on and started to get close to Lan Shuyan. This made Qingshan Shuiji, who was standing beside him, puff out her lips and finally sigh. Then her whole body began to emit cold air and wrapped herself up, turning into a white light that merged into the back of Lan Shuyan's hand wrapped in gauze. Lan Shuyan unwrapped the gauze on his palm in confusion, and was stunned for a second because he found that the wound on his palm had disappeared, and instead there was a new line on the back of his hand. This line was blue and white, like a magnified snowflake. Don't be surprised, you just accidentally activated the reversal technique, so the wound has healed. And you have tamed her, she can now change her status. To put it simply, she is now equivalent to your Shikigami. But be careful, the snow woman likes to play with people's hearts. She will spend several years, or even an ordinary human's lifetime, to make a human truly fall in love with her, and then turn this human into an ice sculpture, and then transform the ice sculpture into her magic power and magic. In other words, you can't fall in love with a snow girl. Even if you tamed her. Just like if I hadn't interrupted you just now, you would have been influenced by her beauty and gentleness, and then slowly fell into the gentleness she showed. I think she was attracted by the special ability you were given by heaven and curse. Gojo Satoru explained to Lan Shuyan. Is it true? So outrageous. Lan Shuyan was stunned for a moment. Is the ending of falling in love with the snow girl so tragic? But soon Lan Shuyan grinned. So what? Just let her fall in love with me. As long as I don't love her, it's okay to just fall in love with her. Whether in his previous life or now, Lan Shuyan has a unique hobby, that is, he likes all kinds of strange opposite gender in anime and comics, otherwise he can't be single with his current appearance. He likes such existences as monster girls, ghost girls, animal girls and so on. At worst, cockroach girls and cat girls are fine. It's a pity that these things don't exist in the original world, so she didn't let go of any of the books of various strange XX girls in the 18 directions. He is sure to be Ning Kaichen. So, what are my special traits and talents? And I don't even remember knowing any reversal techniques. Just now I suddenly felt that my body seemed to have a very strong ability, but then it disappeared. Lan Shuyan asked Wuho Wu who was holding him. Well, you will know this later. Now let's leave here. Anyway, I have already got Sukuna's finger, and the barrier here is useless. Gojo Satoru did not explain immediately. Instead, it gave Lan Shuyan more doubts. Qingshan Ice Garden has a barrier, a snow girl, and Sukuna's finger. What the hell is my grandfather's inheritance? It's outrageous. Where are we going now? Seeing that Gojo Satoru had no intention of explaining, Lan Shuyan did not ask. In the original work, although Gojo Satoru was careless, he was actually perfect in all aspects except his personality. Let's go to Sendai. I want to eat the cakes at Kikusuian over there. Gojo Satoru loosened his arm around Lan Shuyan, took out his cell phone and started making a call. Lan Shuyan was stunned. Sendai, Sukuna finger, Kikusuian. June 2018. Okay, Lan Shuyan knew what the plot was now. That was the plot at the beginning, the plot a while before Itadori Yuji ate Sukuna finger. Hey, Wei, come to Sendai. I'll find a place to put Sukuna's finger, and you can take it back. Well, don't say that. Students should share the responsibility with teachers. Gojo Satoru was talking on the phone in a casual manner. And Lan Shuyan was completely certain that this was the plot at the beginning of the anime. In the original work, Yuji Itadori entered the Jujutsu High School in June 2018. It was because of Gojo Satoru's operation that Yuji Itadori accidentally came into contact with the cursed spirit. Sendai City. Just like the original plot, Gojo Satoru placed Sukuna's finger in a wooden frame of a shrine in Sugazawa 3rd High School, and set up a barrier to block the breath of Sukuna's finger. Then Gojo Satoru really took Lan Shuyan to buy cakes from Kikumazuan's house, and also said that he would take him to experience the customs of Japan after learning that Lan Shuyan was Chinese. Customs. Is it the same profession as teachers? I don't feel anything for girls who are human carbon-based creatures. Okay, Lan Shuyan really didn't want to change anything. He agreed to Gojo Satoru just to find more ghost girls. Plot. What does the plot have to do with him? Ghost-cursed spirit girls are better, okay. In this way, Gojo Satoru and Lan Shuyan played together for a few days. One afternoon, Gojo Satoru, who was still taking Lan Shuyan to experience the Japanese customs, received a call from Fushiguro Megumi. Then in the evening, he took Lan Shuyan to the school where Yuji Itadori was studying. During these days, Lan Shuyan has learned from Gojo Satoru what his special talent is, and this special talent is a passive ability that Lan Shuyan cannot activate himself. So, what's the situation now? On the rooftop, Gojo Satoru grabbed Lan Shuyan's shoulders and appeared behind Fushiguro Megumi, which made Fushiguro Megumi, who was struggling to decide whether Yuji Itadori in front of him was a human or Sukuna, suddenly turn around. When he saw Gojo Satoru, Lan Shuyan could clearly see that Fushiguro Megumi seemed to be relieved. Instead, Gojo Satoru took out his mobile phone to take various photos of Fushiguro Megumi. Lan Shuyan looked at Fushiguro Megumi. Is this how Sukuna would control the 2.0 version of Fushiguro Megumi unit in the original work? Gojo Satoru put away his mobile phone after taking the photos. By the way, where is Sukuna's finger? Gojo Satoru asked Fushiguro Megumi. That one was eaten by me. Yuji Itadori was weakly raising his hand to signal, which made Gojo Satoru look over, and then he moved closer to Yuji Itadori, always sniffing Yuji Itadori's scent. This made Lan Shuyan roll his eyes. This guy really likes to get close to others. People who don't know the reason think he wants to kiss Yuji Itadori. How about kicking Gojo Satoru's butt to make them happy? It shouldn't be useful, right? Gojo Satoru has infinite. Oh, it's really funny, and it exudes a curse. But I am surprised that Sukuna's fingers should be poisonous to humans, but you can adapt to it. By the way, can you exchange with Sukuna? Gojo Satoru took a step back and looked at Yuji Itadori, asking Yuji Itadori. It should be possible, Yuji Itadori responded uncertainly. That's perfect, Lan. You may not be able to understand your abilities so clearly if you describe them verbally. Now you have a very good sparring partner. It may be better for you to actually feel your abilities. Gojo Satoru looked at Lan Shuyan, who was carrying the Kikusuian packaging bag. This made Lan Shuyan stunned, and the corners of his mouth twitched at the same time. Let him fight with Sukuna, who only has one finger. You don't want it, right? Sukuna is not female, he really has no interest. If you throw Sukuna's finger into a female body, as long as the other party does not die, then Lan Shuyan may still be interested. You, come back in 3 minutes. Gojo Satoru pointed at Itadori Yuji and gave him a nonchalant order. But, wouldn't this be dangerous? And that guy looks gentle and polite, can he really do it? Yuji Itadori was a little skeptical of Lan Shuyan. This is not because Yuji Itadori looked down on Lan Shuyan, but he was telling the truth without any contempt. Lan Shuyan was speechless. A man cannot be told no. So Lan Shuyan directly threw the Kikusuian cake bag in his hand to Fushiguro Megumi, who hurriedly caught it and looked at Lan Shuyan with a puzzled look. He did not recognize Lan Shuyan. There was no such teacher or student in Jujutsu High School. Come on. Lan Shuyan looked at Yuji Itadori. This guy really looks like a sunny and passionate boy. But, a man has to go on the field and fight Sukuna, and he can't stop for a moment. Do you really want to? I feel that the guy who just used my body to fight is very strong. Yuji Itadori is a kind-hearted and gentle protagonist. He is a little worried that Lan Shuyan will be beaten to death. Okay, don't worry, I'm not strong, but I'm not weak either. If you are strong, I'm strong too. Lan Shuyan's eyes were dark and weird, staring at Yuji Itadori. This made Yuji Itadori close his eyes, and the next second, lines appeared on his face and upper body, and a pair of eyes appeared under the corners of his eyes. This was the iconic appearance of the two Sukuna. And the moment Sukuna controlled Yuji Itadori's body, he laughed wildly, and then rushed towards Lan Shuyan, but the next second their whole bodies flew backwards. Sukuna fell into the ruined teaching building not far away, and Lan Shuyan fell on the edge of the roof, breaking the railings. What happened? What happened? Fushiguro Megumi was stunned. He clearly didn't feel any cursed power from Lan Shuyan just now, but at the moment when Ryuman Sukuna controlled Yuji Itadori's body, Lan Shuyan's body emitted a cursed power that shocked him. Moreover, Lan Shuyan and Sukuna attacked very quickly just now, so fast that Fushiguro Megumi didn't even react. Sure enough, curse masters are always a difficult existence no matter in which era. Just when Fushiguro Megumi couldn't figure it out, Sukuna walked out of the hole in the teaching building with smoke and dust billowing. He didn't seem to have any wounds on his body, and Lan Shuyan slowly walked towards Sukuna's position. And the next second after Sukuna finished speaking, the two people appeared in the center of the previous fight, and they each used a set of physical skills against each other. Lan Shuyan here confronted Sukuna in a very realistic way, and they were evenly matched. During the fight, Sukuna obviously felt something was wrong. Because Lan Shuyan's attack rhythm was exactly the same as his. What's even more outrageous is that the strength is the same, and the power of the curse is also on par with him. What's going on? Why do I feel like fighting with himself? This is what Sukuna was thinking at the moment. And Fushiguro Megumi obviously saw it too. Teacher, what on earth is this? Fushiguro Megumi looked at Gojo Satoru, who was stroking his chin and watching the battle with great interest. This is Lan's talent, a talent of special traits. Wei, you know my special characteristics, right? Gojo Satoru was willing to explain to Fushiguro Megumi. And Fushiguro Megumi nodded to show that he knew. My special trait is 6 eyes, which is a special ability from the Gojo family. Only one will appear in an era. Lan is similar. Mirror flower, this is Lan's special talent. His eyes are like a sophisticated computer, which can mirror copy people who are hostile to him, and then apply all the enemy's combat experience, movements, spells, and other effects to himself. In simple terms, Lan Shuyan is now Sukuna, and Sukuna is also fighting him. Gojo Satoru explained to Fushiguro Megumi. It was also because of this ability that when he first met Lan Shuyan a few days ago, he had the intention of getting rid of the Snow Girl, so Lan Shuyan's body automatically triggered the mirror flower, and mirror copied some of Gojo Satoru's abilities. After all, the Snow Girl has been tamed by Lan Shuyan, so Gojo Satoru, who showed hostility towards the Snow Girl, was naturally copied by Lan Shuyan's passive ability, Mirror Flower. This ability is not something Lan Shuyan can control. So, doesn't this mean that they can't determine the winner? The movements are the same, the spell power is the same, the experience is the same, this ability is very strong, and very weak. Fushiguro Megumi has a strong understanding ability and immediately grasped the key point. Normally, this is the case when he is alone. Be careful, it's coming. Sukuna needs to be more serious. Gojo Satoru said as he stood directly in front of Fushiguro Megumi, raising his hand to prepare for any possible attack. Sukuna was obviously very interested. He jumped back and raised his hand to make a seal. Resolve. As Sukuna's voice fell, a slash that ordinary people could not see flew directly in the direction of Lan Shuyan, but Sukuna was very surprised, because Lan Shuyan on the opposite side was also doing the same action as him, and he could also see in space that Lan Shuyan launched the same slash as him. Countless slashes collided and cancelled each other out. At the moment when Sukuna was surprised, he suddenly felt extremely cold, and the next second his whole body was covered with a large amount of ice, instantly freezing his whole body. It was the Snow Girl who appeared behind Sukuna. At this time, she placed her palm in front of her pink mouth and blew air. The breath she blew out was the curse power that formed ice. Lan Shuyan also found the right opportunity. Suigetsu. Lan Shuyan muttered to himself, and then he made the seal that Sukuna used just now, and slashed directly at Yuji Itadori's frozen body. But, hi, it's over. Gojo Satoru suddenly appeared between Lan Shuyan and Itadori Yuji. At the moment Gojo Satoru appeared, the slash that Lan Shuyan had thrown out also disappeared. Itadori Yuji, who was frozen in ice, had returned to normal. He was staring with his eyes wide open in confusion, unable to move or speak. This beautiful cursed lady, can you please let this person out? Gojo Satoru looked at Chingshin Shueiji floating behind Yuji Itadori. I don't want it. Chingshin Shueiji covered her mouth with the sleeve of her kimono and responded to Gojo Satoru lightly, looking like she was full of disgust towards Gojo Satoru. Instead, she floated behind Lan Shuyan, hugged Lan Shuyan's neck again, and buried Lan Shuyan's head again. Su Nan is very scary, and you actually let me attack him by surprise. Fortunately, it only has a little curse power now, and the child also calculated the time very accurately, otherwise I would not go. Qingshan Shuiji recognized Sukuna. After all, this guy is the king of curses. In the world of cursed spirits, although there are cursed spirits who don't recognize him, there is definitely no cursed spirit who has not heard of his name. Well, if you don't let him out, he'll freeze to death. Gojo Satoru thinks he's a handsome guy, but why does the snow girl look at him with disgust? Isn't the legendary imaginary special grade cursed spirit snow girl a beauty lover? No, I won't do it. You can obviously do it yourself, why do you want me to release it? I have already restrained myself. Qingshan Shuiji refused again, which made Lan Shuyan speechless. Why did it feel like the snow girl seemed to be angry? Was it because he asked her to sneak attack Sukuna who was controlling Yuji Itadori's body? But Lan Shuyan had no choice. In the mirror flower state, no matter how he fights with Sukuna, it will only be a draw. Someone needs to intervene to disrupt Sukuna's movements. Lan Shuyan takes this opportunity to activate his active talent ability, Water Moon, to resolve the battle. Lan Shuyan's ability is Mirror Flower and Water Moon. Mirror Flower is Lan Shuyan's left eye, and Water Moon is Lan Shuyan's right eye. Mirror Flower's ability is a passive ability. As long as someone is hostile to him and is within Lan Shuyan's field of vision, he will automatically mirror the person who is hostile to him and have the same abilities as that person, such as combat experience, fighting skills, spell power, etc. The disadvantage is that he can only make the same movements and attacks as the mirror object. The only way to break this balance is to have a third party intervene and make Sunan vulnerable, and Lan Shuyan can use his only active ability, Water Moon. When the Water Moon is activated, the mirror projection synchronization will be released, retaining the ability of the mirror, but Lan Shuyan will gain autonomy and can use all the abilities of Sukuna currently possessed by Yuji Itadori, and the duration is only 10 seconds. If the enemy is not defeated within 10 seconds, Lan Shuyan will exit the state and become an ordinary person, and will not be able to use it again within a day. If he is killed, it is very likely that the characteristics of the mirror technique will be retained. Of course, it is also very easy to break the mirror flower. The first is to dispel your own hostility, the second is to leave Lan Shuyan's field of vision after being copied by the mirror, the third is not to appear in front of Lan Shuyan to sneak attack and kill him, and the fourth is to kill him when Lan Shuyan cannot see the cursed spirit. The first is basically difficult to do as long as it is an enemy. The second is basically impossible, because the two people under the mirror have the same strength. The third and fourth are the situations that Lan Shuyan should be on guard against. There is actually no difference between the two, because Lan Shuyan cannot see the ordinary cursed spirit. As for why the slash disappeared after Gojo Satoru appeared among them, it was because Sukuna, who was parasitic in Yuji Itadori's body, was suppressed by Yuji Itadori, which was equivalent to disappearance of vision. At the same time, the real Yuji Itadori had no hostility towards Lan Shuyan. Either of these two could make Lan Shuyan lose the mirror image of Sukuna. Well, never mind, let me do it. Gojo Satoru sighed and pressed his palm directly on the ice. The ice collapsed instantly, causing Yuji Itadori to lie on the ground. It's so cold, I almost thought I was going to freeze to death. Yuji Itadori jumped up from the spot and hugged himself tightly with his arms, tears and snot all came out, and the passionate boy instantly turned into a silly boy. Well, it seems you can really suppress Sukuna. Let's take a break now. Gojo Satoru directly pointed his finger at Yuji Itadori's forehead, which made Yuji Itadori fall into a deep sleep. It's great to be young, you can fall asleep right away. Blue, your special trait talent is very strong, but your normal physical state is more like the spell melting state after using domain. No, maybe that's not right. It should be said that it is heaven and curse. If I am not mistaken, this is probably the reason why you were born unable to see cursed spirits and have no curse power. Everything about you is cursed in your body. You can see the snow girl because she has been tamed by you. You can also say that she is your Shikigami, so you can see her. The Sukuna in Yuji Itadori's body is because it is in the state of being incarnated. I'll give you a pair of glasses that will allow you to see cursed spirits. But actually, the glasses can only help you see cursed spirits before you trigger your ability. When you trigger the mirror flower, you can actually see cursed spirits in spirit form without glasses. Gojo Satoru carried Yuji Itadori, who was able to fall into a deep sleep at a young age, on his shoulders. Teacher, I have something to ask of you. Although Fushiguro Megumi was surprised by Lan Shuyan's ability, what he cares about now is the ending of Itadori Yuji. So just like the original work, Fushiguro Megumi asked Gojo Satoru to save Itadori Yuji's life. This was his plea on a personal matter. The next step is to go back to Jujutsu High School. Jujutsu High School. Gojo Satoru went to deal with Yuji Itadori's problem, while Fushiguro Megumi was treated by Naoko Ieri and is currently resting next to Lan Shuyan's residence. Nay, Lan, let's go out for a walk. In Lan Shuyan's dormitory, Qingshan Shuiji has been floating around Lan Shuyan. Her own coolness is much more useful than air conditioning. Moreover, after Gojo Satoru led her to experience the Japanese style of shopping and eating delicious food last time, Qingshan Shuiji likes shopping in this era very much. She even asked Lan Shuyan to accompany her shopping these days. Yesterday, Lan Shuyan took her out, and she fell in love with the white cheongsam in the clothing store, so she directly changed her clothes with cursed power. Now Qingshan Shuiji no longer wears kimono, but instead wears a hip-length backless white cheongsam, as well as black stockings and white high heels, which makes Lan Shuyan very helpless. Is a snow woman who doesn't wear a kimono still called a snow woman? The snow woman pokes men's hobbies that the kimono plus the ghost attribute. Okay, Lan Shuyan admitted that the snow woman Yukino's daily winter outfit in Widow Snow Woman XX Cursed Ring, drawn by a certain author, is also very touching. So a snow girl wearing a cheongsam, black stockings and high heels is no problem for him, as long as she is a ghost. Even Lan Shuyan can write a book, as long as it is a snow girl, I can fall in love with her even if she is not wearing a kimono. Ahem, the writer's disease is coming back. Although he likes Qingshan Shuiji, Gojo Satoru has warned him not to fall in love with a snow girl, especially this snow girl is a special grade cursed spirit. Even if Qingshan Shuiji is now tamed, falling in love with her will still be cursed. Lan Shuyan thought about it and decided to be Ninkaichan. How about a try? He looked at Qingshan Shuiji, then pulled Qingshan Shuiji down from midair and let her sit in his arms. But then Lan Shuyan shuddered all over. It's too cold. Lan Shuyan seriously doubted whether Qingshan Shuiji's body was also icy inside. If so, Lan Shuyan felt that he would definitely not be excited. Allah, although I am a cursed spirit, I am not just any cursed spirit. Either you truly fall in love with me, be cursed by me, and finally die as my curse and magic. Either you let me fall in love with you, let me have a heart, and transform from a cursed spirit into a human body, then I will become your wife and accompany you to the end of your life. Only after you die will I transform into a snow woman. But so far, there has only been one human that I have fallen in love with. Qingshan Shuiji held Lan Shuyan's cheek and showed a gentle smile. This made Lan Shuyan think. So, here comes the question. Is he awesome for being the guy that Qingshan Shuiji fell in love with? Probably not, right? Okay, Lan Shuyan's way of thinking is really weird. His brain circuits are never in the normal way of thinking, which is why he has no friends so far, because he is really too weird, and others can't understand his weirdness. The next day, when Gojo Satoru brought Itadori Yuji to Lan Shuyan's dormitory, he was a little dazed. Because the weather outside was really hot, and Lan Shuyan's room and even the corridor outside were almost like winter. He knocked on the door, and then Lan Shuyan shivered and opened the door wrapped in a super thick duvet. The cold air instantly rushed out from the door, making Itadori Yuji shiver. And there was a hint of frost everywhere in the room. And Qingshan Shuiji, wearing new clothes, floated directly in the air. Her whole body posture seemed very dignified. She really looked like a good wife and mother who followed the 3 obediences and 4 virtues. I said, why are you doing this? If it's so cold, wouldn't it be better to just let Miss Qingshan go back? Gojo Satoru reached out and knocked on the duvet that Lan Shuyan was wrapped in. It was already a little hard. What are you talking about? If I sleep with the goblin girl and capture her, won't it mean I lose the time to capture her if she goes back? As long as I can capture her, it's worth it even if I freeze to death on the way. I love Snow Girl. Snow Girl is so awesome. Lan Shuyan threw away the duvet he was wrapped in. It made a clanging sound when it touched the ground, and Lan Shuyan made a fist-clenching gesture to cheer him on. But the next second, Lan Shuyan sneezed. He sneezed at Gojo Satoru's face. Unfortunately, they stopped before they could touch Gojo Satoru, and were slowed down by Gojo Satoru's technique. Yuji Itadori was full of question marks. Why did this classmate who, like him, would become a student at a high school of spellcasting, seem so powerful in some way? Ah, Lan, expressing your love to me in front of others will make me shy. Qingshan Shuiji listened to Lan Shuyan's words and covered her face with her hands. She looked like a shy lady, but the gaps between her fingers were a little big. Really? Then are you moved and in love with me? Lan Shuyan turned around and asked with a handsome smile. Well, not really. Qingshan Shuiji covered her face with her hands and spread her fingers apart. She opened her blue eyes that were originally squinting and looked at Lan Shuyan, smiling gently in response. To be honest, she had never seen someone like Lan Shuyan. Lan Shuyan gave her a very interesting feeling. He could even resist her temptation and not fall in love with her. Instead, he tried every means to conquer her. Okay, Miss Qingshan, Mr. Lan. Pack up and get ready to meet the principal with me. Gojo Satoru grinned. Lan Shuyan was really interesting. Like Yuji Itadori, he had never seen a cursed spirit before. But even so, they both happily accepted the world of curses that subverted their worldview, and even showed that they were just curious and not afraid. Oh, so that's it. Lan Shuyan closed the door and started to take off his clothes. Qingshan Shuiji was smiling and watching openly. Lan Shuyan didn't care, and even showed his 8-pack abs to Qingshan Shuiji. Then he changed into a black modern casual tang suit, because Lan Shuyan wanted to wear couple outfits with Qingshan Shuiji. Although Qingshan Shuiji may not know that Cheongsam is actually the best match for tang suit. And black and white match. Although Qingshan Shuiji is wearing black silk, it's totally fine, because that's a plus. Black silk. Super high. After going out, because Qingshan Shuiji doesn't like the sun during the day, Qingshan Shuiji went straight back to the back of Lan Shuyan's hand, which should have a living field. On the way, Gojo Satoru and Itadori Yuji were communicating. Then Sukuna's mouth came out to speak. Hey, I tamed that little snow girl. Your technique is very interesting. After I take control of this body, I will kill you first. Sukuna opened his mouth and spoke. And he was aiming at Lan Shuyan, which made Lan Shuyan's face full of question marks. What the hell? Shouldn't this sentence be said to Gojo Satoru? What does it have to do with me? I don't want to become. And then say to you, ah, sorry, Lord Sukuna, I didn't let you have fun. Akutami, come out and take the knife. I'm really not interested in a curse from you. So really don't worry about me. How about you try a female body? Lan Shuyan grinned and responded to Sukuna's murderous intent. This time it was Yuji Itadori's turn, and Gojo Satoru had a face full of question marks. Even Sukuna's open mouth was stunned. Ha 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 ha. Gojo Satoru was the first to laugh, and he couldn't stop laughing. Yuji, why don't you just go to Thailand and have an operation to become a girl? Maybe Lan will help you get back many of Sukuna's fingers without hesitation. Gojo Satoru's tears came out, and he teased Yuji Itadori. This made Yuji Itadori cover his dignity as a man, and then quickly retreated to distance himself from Lan Shuyan, staring at Lan Shuyan with his eyes very closely. Hey, don't look at me like that. You are such a strong guy, you will not look good as a girl, I don't want it. Lan Shuyan looked at Yuji Itadori with disdain. This made Yuji Itadori and Gojo Satoru full of question marks again. No, what you care about is whether it looks good, not the fact that Yuji Itadori has surgery to become a girl. What you mean is that if she looks good, and there is Sukuna in her body, then you can do it. I've decided, once I take control of this body, I will kill you. And the white-haired guy with 6 eyes, you too. After being silent, Sukuna's tone became extremely cold. After he finished speaking, Sukuna's mouth disappeared. Teacher, if I am really controlled by it, can you stop it? At this time, the frivolous sand sculpture Yuji Itadori became serious and looked at Gojo Satoru very seriously. Gojo Satoru was no longer frivolous. He touched Yuji Itadori's head directly and continued to walk forward. Don't worry, although Sukuna is very strong, it's not a problem because I'm the strongest and I will win. Gojo Satoru answered very confidently. It appeared. Gojo Satoru turned into the version of the wise saying. It was indeed Mei who won. To be honest, in the comics, when Gojo Satoru was directly cut into Satoru by the Fushiguro Megumi machine driven by Sukuna, Lan Shuyan, who was reading the comics, was confused. It was obvious that Kusakabe was blessing Gojo Satoru to win on the previous page, but the next page directly turned into poisonous blessing for Kusakabe, and Satoru appeared with his big mouth. Is this the domain expansion of Kusakabe, the strongest and most poisonous gold medal lecturer in this comic? Domain expansion: whoever you blessing will die. What? Why would a person with a special fetish read the comics of Jujutsu Kaisen? Nothing. It was because this work has ghost attributes. Lan Shuyan wanted to see if there could be a ghost that could poke his fetish, and then found himself disgusted, and felt like a clown. Not long after, Lan Shuyan and Itadori Yuji followed Gojo Satoru to a room. Yi Moth Masamiki, wearing black clothes and sunglasses, was sitting among the dolls. Wu, you are late again. Yi Moth Jungdao looked at Wu Ho Wu. Well, don't say that, Principal Night Moth. It took a while to bring this child here. Gojo Satoru stretched out his hand and pressed Lan Shuyan's head, which made Lan Shuyan slap him away in disgust. Well, let me start my questioning. Yaga Masamiki didn't say much, and looked at Yuji Itadori first. Then he asked the same question he asked Yuji Itadori in the anime. And Yuji Itadori also responded to Yaga Masamiki with a very satisfactory answer, and passed Yaga Masamiki's test. And Lan Shuyan felt that it should be his turn next. After Yuji Itadori passed, Lan Shuyan thought that Yaga Masamiki should test him, which made Lan Shuyan, who had been thinking about how to answer Yaga Masamiki's questions since yesterday, show enough confidence. In fact, for Lan Shuyan, it is necessary to enter the Jujutsu High School. Because then he doesn't have to be monitored, and if he refuses to be monitored, although Lan Shuyan can use his own abilities to fight Gojo Satoru on equal terms, as long as someone from the other side intervenes, he may lose without a doubt and will definitely be killed by Gojo Satoru. After all, Gojo Satoru knows his abilities, so he knows how to deal with him. But, Satoru, take Yuji Itadori to the dormitory. Lan Shuyan has already moved in and his stay in Japan has been completed. From now on, they are all first-year students. Lead them well. Yi Mo Jungdao directly skipped Lan Shuyan and asked Gojo Satoru to take them away instead. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark quote. Lan Shuyan was stunned. No, what about me? You don't test me. Do you know that I spent a long time thinking about how to respond to your question? Hi, Yujin, Lan, let's go. Gojo Satoru directly put his arm around one of them and took them away. It seems that he knows why Yi Mo Jungdao didn't test Lan Shuyan. Blue, don't worry, you don't need to be tested. Because in fact you are different from Hisahito. He is a container. Even if he fails the principal's test, he will be controlled by the Jujutsu High School and will live as a container until the day of his execution. But you are different. If you enter the high school without adding spells, you will die, and you will be killed immediately, because the Snow Girl will be very difficult to deal with after achieving her goal. She has the habit of turning the place she is in into a frozen world after completing her goal. Although I gave you a choice at the beginning, in fact, you can only choose one way. Gojo Satoru seemed to see what Lan Shuyan was thinking, and explained directly. This made Lan Shuyan grin. It was indeed like this. In fact, he himself knew that he was unhappy because he spent time thinking about the answer, but this point was skipped directly. Soon, back to the dormitory. Yuji Itadori's dormitory was arranged next to his. This made Yuji Itadori start to become stupid, touching and looking at all kinds of things. Lan, this is for you. Gojo Satoru ignored Yuji Itadori's antics and took out a black glasses case from his pocket and handed it to Lan Shuyan. Lan Shuyan took it and then remembered what Gojo Satoru said before, that he should get a pair of glasses that would allow him to see cursed spirits, which should be the same glasses that Zenin Maki wore. So Lan Shuyan opened the glasses case directly, and then looked at Gojo Satoru with a face full of question marks. Because there was a pair of black sunglasses in the glasses case. Lan Shuyan picked up the sunglasses and looked at Gojo Satoru. Gojo Satoru, are you seriously ill? It's okay during the day, but if you wear this thing at night, even if you can see cursed spirits, it's no different from not wearing it, right? Surprised or not, unexpected or not, I spent a lot of money to buy this for you. It's the same pair of sunglasses that I wore when I was young. Gojo Satoru pointed his hands at Lan Shuyan, making a pistol gesture. Lan Shuyan looked at the sunglasses, then at Gojo Satoru's cute and naughty look, and really wanted to punch him. You seem to be unhappy. Gojo Satoru grinned. Teacher, how about you show some hostility to me? Let's have a deep discussion together. Lan Shuyan looked at Gojo Satoru with a smile. He finally understood why Gojo Satoru became a corpse surrounded by students. He was so mean, Lan Shuyan also wanted to make him a corpse. Well, don't be so serious. Yes, this is the real thing. The sunglasses in your hand are the same sunglasses I used to wear to cover my 6 eyes. Gojo Satoru took out another glasses case and handed it to Lan Shuyan. Lan Shuyan threw the sunglasses back into the original glasses case, exchanged them with Gojo Satoru, and opened the glasses again. Inside was a pair of high-end frameless glasses, which gave people a gentlemanly feeling that was gentle but not dull. Lan Shuyan took it out and put it on, then looked around. It felt that what he saw had not changed much. The Curse High School has a barrier, and there will be no curse spirits except in certain places, so it is normal that you can't see it. By the way, second-year student Zenin Maki also can't see cursed spirits, and she wears the same glasses. Gojo Satoru put the sunglasses case back into his pocket and explained to Lan Shuyan. I said, why did they arrange their room next to mine? At this time, Fushiguro Megumi opened the door of her room, grabbed her hair and spoke, looking like she had just woken up. Well, it's more lively when there are more people. After all, Wei, you have always been alone. Gojo Satoru responded with a smile. Then he called over the happy Itadori Yuji. You 3, take a good rest today, you have to go out tomorrow. Gojo Satoru said, and left. Yuji Itadori Yuji, Fushiguro Megumi and Lan Shuyan were left staring at each other. Let's go eat. Fushiguro, Yuji Itadori knew how to adjust the atmosphere and directly invited them to have dinner together. The next morning, Lan Shuyan got up trembling all over, and Qing Xunshuiji was already standing by the bed like a good wife and mother. She was holding toiletries and the Jujutsu High School uniform that someone had sent her last night. Are you awake? I have prepared toiletries for you. Compared to Lan Shuyan's attempt to conquer Qing Xunshuiji felt that it was easier for her to conquer Lan Shuyan, so she took good care of Lan Shuyan. She even used the air conditioner crazily at night, and it was best to keep Lan Shuyan cool so that he would not be overheated by the summer heat. Lan Shuyan got up and yawned as he looked at the toiletries in Qing Xunshuiji's hand. The water in them was frozen. Lan Shuyan was used to it. He had been spending every morning under Qing Xunshuiji's care for a while. To be honest, Lan Shuyan had an illusion that, except that Qing Xunshuiji was relatively cold, he really felt like he was being taken care of by a mother. In his impression, his biological mother didn't take care of him like this. It was enough for him to see his biological mother once a year. For Lan Shuyan will definitely not waste Qing Xunshuiji's kindness. So what if it's frozen? Nothing can stop me from enjoying the wake-up service of a snow girl. Open the windows, open the doors, ventilate and disperse the cold air. Boil water, melt water, brush your teeth, wash your face. Shake off the ice residue from the frozen school uniform, dry it in a dryer, and then put it on. After everything is done, Lan Shuyan sat in the kitchen of the dormitory area, looking at the frozen white rice and dishes handed over by Qing Xunshuiji and fell into deep thought. He felt some pain and soreness in his teeth. Qing Xunshuiji has the potential to be a good wife and mother. A certain amount of food is delivered to the refrigerator every day, and Qing Xunshuiji insists on making breakfast for him every morning. The hot meals are directly cold and hard. Even if it is frozen, it can't stop me from enjoying the breakfast made by the snow girl. Lan Shuyan bit the rice directly, but after biting for a long time, Lan Shuyan only bit off some ice chips, so Lan Shuyan got up silently and heated it in the microwave. Then, the rice turned into soaked rice, and the dishes turned into hot dishes. Delicious. The food made by Miss Qingshan is so delicious. Lan Shuyan ate 3 bowls of rice with tears in his eyes. Qingshan Shuiji sat opposite Lan Shuyan, holding her chin with both hands and smiling gently as she watched Lan Shuyan eat. Yuji Itadori and Megumi Fushiguro were stunned at the table. Then they ate instant noodles silently. How to say it? Envy Lan Shuyan for having a beautiful Shikigami to help him make breakfast, while they can only eat instant noodles. Now it seems that they are not so envious. By the way, the ice wrapped on the surface of various things is formed by the magic power of the Snow Woman, right? Is it really okay for him to eat like this? He won't have diarrhea, right? Yuji Itadori thought so. Sure enough, Tiger is so kind. After breakfast, Gojo Satoru also came over. The one who picked him up was Aikichi Jigao's tool man. Teacher, what are we going to do today? In the car. Sitting in the back seat, Yuji Itadori asked Gojo Satoru. Go pick up the fourth first-year student. Gojo Satoru flicked his eyelids and replied nonchalantly. The fourth one, Fushiguro, do you know? Listening to Yuji Itadori's question, Fushiguro Megumi also began to explain. Lan Shuyan was looking out the window. The fourth student was Kugasaki Nobara. According to the original comic plot, she should have been the third one, but her position was replaced by him. Not long after, they arrived at their destination. The development was almost the same as Lan Shuyan knew. Everyone, she will be your classmate in the future. You all know her name just now in the car, it's Kugasaki Nobara. Gojo Satoru smiled and spoke to Lan Shuyan and the others. Hello, my name is Yuji Itadori. Fushiguro Megumi. Nice to meet you, my name is Lan Shuyan. Lan Shuyan greeted Kugasaki Nobara. The bust is good, but the legs are a bit short and thick. In the eyes of Nobara Kugasaki, Yuji Itadori is the kind of bumpkin who would pick his nose and eat it when he was a child. Fushiguro Megumi only said his name alone, and he must be a self-righteous person. As for Lan Shuyan, who was wearing glasses, he greeted her in a very ceremonial way. He must be a more gentlemanly man, and Lan Shuyan was very handsome, which made Nobara Kugasaki see stars instantly. Lan Shuyan glanced at her, and then took a step back. I have to make it clear that I have no interest in carbon-based life forms of the opposite gender. Lan Shuyan has long been numb to this kind of eye expression from girls. When he was in China, he was often approached by girls, and their eyes were like this. Kugasaki Nobara's face was full of question marks. What do you mean you have no interest in carbon-based life of the opposite gender? Could it be that you are interested in cursed spirits? Kugasaki Nobara instantly reduced Lan Shuyan's favorability towards her to negative max. Okay, we all know each other. Now it's time to get down to business. Gojo Satoru talked about this and that, and finally came to the cursed building in Roppongi in the original book without Lan Shu saying a word. In the original book, this was the trial site that Gojo Satoru specially prepared for Nobara Kugasaki, and Yuji Itadori was just a byproduct. Now he has been added as an intervener. Yujin, you can't let Sukuna out, otherwise the cursed spirit inside will be killed instantly. Lan, you too, can't let Miss Qingshan come out, Gojo Satoru had just said half of his words. A big cutie suddenly appeared behind Lan Shuyan. Qingshan Shuiji directly put her arms around Lan Shuyan's neck again, and her fruit covered the back of Lan Shuyan's head again. Qingshan Shuiji rested her head on Lan Shuyan's head, smiling at Gojo Satoru. It was as if she was saying, I won't. I'm going to come out. To be honest, after being sealed in the mirror flower water moon for so long, Qingshan Shuiji didn't want to stay in the earth domain that belonged to Lan Shuyan's palm. All right, whatever you want. Just don't kill all the cursed spirits. But if you don't want Lan Shuyan to die before you eat him, then don't help him next time, but guide him like a personal teacher. Gojo Satoru spread his hands helplessly. Qingshan Shuiji didn't come out before because she hated the sun, and now because the sky has begun to be gloomy, Qingshan Shuiji ran out again. What a beautiful cursed spirit. Is it his Shikigami? Kugasaki Nobara murmured to herself as she looked at Qingshan Shuiji, who was gentle, full of temperament and absolutely beautiful. Then she sighed. How could such a handsome guy like cursed spirits? Yuji, this is a curse tool. I'll lend it to you first. Gojo Satoru threw a knife that looked like a butcher knife to Yuji Itadori and explained to him how to use the curse tool. Lan, this is for you, don't break it. This is the most suitable curse tool for you. Gojo Satoru took out a weapon wrapped in a long cloth from somewhere and threw it to Lan Shuyan. This made Lan Shuyan stunned for a moment. Did he have one? But think about it, the monsters here don't have any spells. Even if his passive ability is activated, he doesn't have much combat power. According to Lan Shuyan's idea, the weak curse spirit mirror image should only be able to gain the same curse power when acting on him, and there should be nothing for it. Lan Shuyan opened the package and was stunned for a moment. Because this is a 3-section red stick with an iron chain connecting them. 3-section stick. Yuyun. Oh my. Lan Shuyan was shocked. Special grade curse tool Yuyun. A curse tool worth 5 small golds of yen. Speaking of China, it must be Chinese martial arts and nunchaku. Lan, you will definitely know, right? I really like Chinese martial arts movies. Hehe, hurry up and use the nunchaku. Gojo Satoru made a motion of swinging the nunchaku. This made Lan Shuyan's mouth twitch. I'm very happy that you like Chinese culture, but I don't like you changing my brother Jia's lyrics casually. Besides, who told you that if you are Chinese, you know Kung Fu? Who told you that if you are Chinese, you know how to use the nunchaku? Do you have any misunderstanding? Now, immediately, apologize to the handsome men and beautiful women in China who don't know martial arts and use nunchakus. Hey, go in. Nanobara Kugasaki didn't want to get close to this group of idiots. Yuji Itadori also took the Slayer demon that Gojo Satoru borrowed from Zenin Maki, and wanted to exchange it with Lan Shuyan. After all, the 3-section stick in Lan Shuyan's hand was very handsome. Yuji Itadori said. Forget it, forget it. Lan Shuyan picked up the nunchaku and turned around to follow Kugasaki Nobara. Qingshan Shuiji had been hanging on Lan Shuyan's neck and followed her inside, but she restrained her breath. This was also one of her abilities. The snow girl was very good at disguising herself as a female human. And if she kept emitting her breath, the cursed spirits inside would be scared to death and run away. Moreover, she didn't think Lan Shuyan knew any martial arts. Although Lan Shuyan had abdominal muscles, he was not very strong overall. His walking posture was full of flaws. He didn't look like someone who had learned martial arts. Martial arts. Qingzan Shuiji, on the contrary, is very optimistic about Itadori Yuji. She can see that Itadori Yuji is very strong. But it doesn't matter. She thinks that she can come to the rescue of Lan Shuyan when he is in trouble, and then make Lan Shuyan fall in love with her. Well, both of these cuties want the other to fall in love with them. But one is greedy for the other's body, and the other is greedy for the other's special traits and abilities. It's outrageous. But does Lan Shuyan really need help? Enter the warehouse. Kugasaki Nobara, Itadori Yuji, Lan Shuyan. The 3 of them look at each other. There are 4 floors here. Tiger Stick, just go down to the 1st floor. Lan, you stay on the 2nd floor, I'll go to the 3rd and 4th floors. After saying that, Nobara Kugasaki went upstairs without looking back. After all, they came to the 2nd floor from the outside stairs, so they were on the 2nd floor from the beginning. After Nobara Kugasaki left, Lan Shuyan went downstairs directly. Obviously, he did not intend to listen to Nobara Kugasaki's arrangements. The 2nd floor would be left to Yuji Itadori. According to the plot, there are no cursed spirits on the 1st floor, and there will be a curse on the 2nd floor that will sneak attack Yuji Itadori from the ceiling. So, let the protagonist play the main role. Hello, Lan, are you okay? I heard from the teacher that you don't have any cursed power. Itadori Yuji called out to Lan Shuyan, his words not mocking but showing genuine concern. Chapter 11. Listening to Yuji Itadori's question, Lan Shuyan raised his hand and waved. No problem. You should be careful of the ceiling. Lan Shuyan left directly, and Qingshan Shuiji was still hanging around his neck and was taken away with him. Yuji. Itadori suddenly pulled out the Tuzuo demon on his back, and slashed upwards without raising his head, instantly cutting off the strange-shaped arm of the curse, and then his body moved away a little. As for Lan Shuyan, he had already reached the 1st floor. The 1st floor was very dark, but there were a few vents, and the light from outside could barely shine in. He looked to the left and saw an aluminum roller shutter door, which was already rusty. Being pressed against the fruit of Qingshan Shuiji, Lan Shuyan was a little curious. Miss Qingshan, aren't you tired of carrying such a big fruit? Lan Shuyan asked Qingshan Shuiji. This made Qingshan Shuiji loosen her arms around Lan Shuyan's neck and float directly in front of Lan Shuyan, smiling. Do you not like it? I have transformed myself into this appearance according to the image you like. If you don't like it, I can change the wife's body shape. Whether it's a queen, a girl, or a loli, I can change. Qingshan Shuiji said as she turned around. When she faced Lan Shuyan again, she turned into a loli with 2 buns. The white backless cheongsam looked very long for her current body shape. Oh, then isn't it a huge profit if I let you fall in love with me? Is it equivalent to having 4 wives of different ages? Lan Shuyan looked around Qingshan Shuiji with great interest. The exposed beautiful back really made people want to rub it, and Qingshan Shuiji didn't change into stockings today, her whole legs were bare, which really looked inexplicably tempting. Ah, it's a pity not to use cupping on this beautiful back. Lan Shuyan said with a sigh. This made Qingshan Shuiji's face full of question marks. I showed you this form to show you my ability, but you want to use cupping on my beautiful back. The history and humanities of this world are similar to the original world that Lan Shuyan knew. So cupping has existed since the spring and autumn period and the warring states period, and it is not surprising that Qingshan Shuiji knew about it. Lan Shuyan pushed the glasses on his nose. He suddenly felt that something was wrong around him. In fact, Lan Shuyan is not opposed to wearing glasses, because when he was a novelist, he would wear blue light glasses when he was typing on a laptop and acting as a plagiarist. Outside, Fushiguro Megumi, who was unable to go out, was looking at the building in a depressed mood. Teacher, is it necessary to arrange this kind of thing? Fushiguro Megumi looked at Gojo Satoru. Yes, this time the main purpose is to let Nobara Kugasaki experience that the curses in the big city are different from those in the place where she lives. As for the other intention, let's put it this way, both Yuhito and I's thoughts are a bit twisted. They had never encountered the curse before and had lived in a peaceful environment until now. Even if ordinary people were talented, they would stagnate because they could not overcome this kind of disgust and fear. But, even so, Yujin can still kill the curse without hesitation, so he has to experience it more. As for Lan, what do you think of him? Gojo Satoru kept looking through his eye patch at the shutter door on the first floor of the building. Lan Shuyan, Fushiguro Wei did not answer immediately, but fell into thought. As for Lan, is he someone who likes female cursed spirits and has strange quirks? Fushiguro Megumi really didn't understand Lan Shuyan. After all, Yuji Itadori had experienced life and death with him, but Lan Shuyan was suddenly brought back by Gojo Satoru that night. All they knew was that he had the same special traits and talents as Gojo Satoru and that he had a special grade cursed spirit. Ha ha ha, you are actually right. Lan is very peculiar. He likes the curse of females very much, which is also the genetic curse of having this special trait talent ability. Wei, you know about the reversal technique, right? The premise of reversing the technique is to reverse the technique, and the principle of the reversal technique is to multiply the negative energy of the cursed power in a way that negative times negative equals positive, thereby obtaining positive energy suitable for treatment. Injecting the positive energy obtained from the reversal ritual into the ritual will reverse the effect of the ritual, which is the so-called ritual reversal. The reversal technique is not so much a technique as it is a skill to master the power of curse. Miss Qingshan is probably the only cursed spirit among all the cursed spirits who can gather all the cursed power in her body at the core after falling in love with a human being, and then reverse it to obtain positive energy beyond imagination, and then reverse her cursed body into a human cursed spirit. Because she was originally a curse when a person died in grief and longing after losing their lover. The Japanese Snow Woman legend is all based on her. Gojo Satoru recently commissioned Mingming to investigate a lot of information about Lan Shuyan, and got a lot of interesting information from China. In this world, 99% of the sorcerers are Japanese, and the remaining 1% are scattered all over the world. Can you turn yourself into a human? Can the reversal technique do this? When a curse is used in a reversal technique, doesn't it only consume the cursed power to restore the injured cursed body? Is this really possible? Even Fushiguro Megumi was shocked. Okay. But I have never heard that a curse can be turned into a human in this way. No, Wei, you misunderstood. My point is that Miss Qingshan is a cursed spirit formed by positive energy, not the conventional negative energy. All her cursed powers come from love, but love can also curse others, just like Yuta Otsutsukoshi's Kibun Rika. It's just that after she lost the lover who turned her into a snow girl, all her positive energy turned into negative energy due to the sadness of her lover's death, so she always wants others to fall in love with her and demand their love. Taking away a human's love is negative energy, and only by making her fall in love with a human can the negative energy be turned into positive energy and then transformed into a temporary human. Gojo Satoru grinned, but it made Fushiguro Megumi even more confused. So, what does this have to do with Lan? Fushiguro Megumi couldn't understand it anymore. Human magic power comes from negative emotions, such as hatred, fear, etc. So why would Yuta Otsutsukoda, who deeply loved Rika Kimoto, curse his childhood sweetheart into a cursed spirit because of love? Although this can be done, Yuta Otsutsuki's bloodline also has a big problem. But who says love is not an emotion? Especially Lan's twisted love for the female curse. She is the same type of person as Lan. Gojo Satoru explained to Fushiguro Megumi. Fushiguro Megumi still had a face full of question marks, and then suddenly reacted. That is to say, Lan can also transform love into energy just like the Snow Girl, but this is Lan's unique talent. Whether he can succeed depends on himself. It is worth mentioning that the man who turned Miss Qingshan into an imaginary cursed spirit more than 1,000 years ago also had the surname Lan and was also from that ancient country. Nearly 500 years ago, during the Jiajing period of the Ming dynasty in China, the person who sealed Miss Qingshan in the mirror flower and water moon was also named Lan. They all have one characteristic, that is, they all have the same special ability as the Gojo family after being cursed, and in addition to Kyoka and Suigetsu, they also have an ability that is almost the same as the Snow Woman. That ability plus the mirror flower and water moon together is their true ability under the heaven and curse. This ability makes the body in a state similar to magic fuse from birth, which is why Lan cannot perceive his magic formula. But in return, that ability has the ability to transform all negative energy into positive energy and use the magic tools to send it out. This is similar to my virtual style, but mine is negative energy plus positive energy, while Lan Shuyan's is positive energy plus technique plus black flash-like technique. I can't do this. Well, all this must be known by Lan Shuyan himself, because my 6 eyes can't read Lan's hands. After all, hands and eyes can see everything. I hope he can handle it. After all, I placed a second-level curse on the first floor, and I also tampered with his glasses. Gojo Satoru finally told Lan Shuyan about his current abilities, and also explained some of the little troubles he had caused Lan Shuyan, which is why Gojo Satoru had been staring at the location of the roller shutter door on the first floor. Although he knew Lan Shuyan's abilities, Lan Shuyan was not aware of it. This made Fushiguro Megumi on the side react, and he finally understood why Gojo Satoru gave Lan Shuyan the special grade curse tool Yuyun. The curse tool has its own cursed power, and this cursed power is negative energy. And Lan Shuyan himself has no cursed power. But he is very likely to turn the emotion of liking strange female curses from the emerging love, which is Lan Shuyan's hobby, into temporary cursed power. Well, I hope he won't suffer too much. Lan's ability can only be awakened if he himself executes it in actual combat. And my mission is to prevent him from dying before he awakens this ability. Ah, that's good. Yuji, Chiangwei, Wei, Lan, you will all be strong in the future world of curse. Gojo Satoru thought so in his heart. He intends to train all his students, because he must become a corpse dog head that is surrounded and loved by students. At this time, Lan Shuyan on the first floor looked at a curse in the dark. According to what Lan Shuyan knows, curses, or curse spirits, are divided into levels. Level 4, Level 3, Level 2, Level 1, Special Level. And now Lan Shuyan, with the glasses he wears, can see how huge the black aura emanating from this cursed body is. Hello, what a joke, I remember that there can't be such a degree of curse here. Lan Shuyan clenched the special grade curse tool Yuyun in his hand, and the smile on his face looked very strong. The glasses worn by Lan Shuyan were specially made, which not only allowed him to see curses, but also the power of the curse. This was discovered by Lan Shuyan himself. Because when Lan Shuyan looked at Qingshan Shuiji who had not yet restrained her breath, there was always a white breath around her, and the range of this breath was very wide. Lan Shuyan asked Qingshan Shuiji, and Qingshan Shuiji told him that it was her curse power. This also made Lan Shuyan think of what happened in the Juvenile Management Center later. When Hanami, who looks like a special grade curse spirit, saw Yuji Itadori switch to Sukuna, the spirit was frightened. At that time, it had just been born and formed into a special grade, and it obviously didn't recognize me. So no matter whether it was a curse spirit or a curse master, they could see the power of the other party's curse, or feel fear. However, Lan Shuyan also knew that the amount of curse power did not actually represent the strength of the curse master or the curse. The most important thing was to see what their technique was and whether they had mastered the field. For example, that gambler. He was really not that good when he was normal, but the field of sitting and killing gamblers was outrageous. Thinking of him, Lan Shuyan couldn't help but think of his exaggerated expression and the gambler shake, as well as the BGM of All My People. Lan Shuyan was brainwashed for a long time in his previous life. No, now is not the time to think about that. That guy actually threw such a thing at me here. Is this a special grade? No, I don't remember any special grade with this appearance. Level 1. No, although I am not ready to judge the level of the curse power, but overall, it should not be level 1. Lan Shuyan stared at the curse spirit that came out of the darkness with vigilance. This is a second-level curse spirit. You have to work hard to take the beating. If you can't beat me, I'll save the handsome man with my beauty. In this way, maybe you will fall in love with me and pledge your love to me. Qingshan Shuiji floated away from Lan Shuyan directly. This made Lan Shuyan's face full of question marks. What the hell, you actually came up with this idea? But Lan Shuyan fell into silence. Because the curse spirit that crawled out was a curse spirit with a female body appearance, and it was the appearance of a snake girl, which was exactly what Lan Shuyan liked. The upper body of a human female, and the lower body of a black snake. And it was long and straight black, although the face was covered by black hair and could not be seen clearly. But it didn't matter at all, its figure was so amazing. The graceful posture when the body was crawling was simply enough to make Lan Shuyan's eyes go straight, especially the snake tail. I can do it, I want it. Not only do I want to be Ning Kaichen, I also want to be Shu Xian. Lan Shuyan was sick again at this moment. What curse spirit? This is a monster girl, okay. Lan Shuyan was so excited. The non-human series is what Lan Shuyan likes. I've decided, I'm going to add you to my collection. I'm determined to be Shu Xian. Lan Shuyan grinned, and the desire to possess this cursed spirit made him so excited that he lost control of his facial expressions. But the next second, Lan Shuyan was stunned for a moment, because he found that he was actually flying backwards and directly hit the rolling door, even bringing the rolling door away, and then his body and the rolling door fell directly to the ground. Lan Shuyan lay there, vomiting blood crazily. The speed of that tail was too fast. And why didn't his mirror flower start? He was obviously staring at the female cursed spirit. That's right, Lan Shuyan saw the attack clearly, but his body couldn't react. Ah, really fast. Lan, you're beaten out already. I caught a female cursed spirit just for you. Gojo Satoru outside was talking nonchalantly. But at the same time, he had already started to form seals. Born from darkness to darkness, all filth and impurities are exorcised. This is the barrier technique, tent, which can close the space and block the outside world's sight. Ah, not bad, not bad. I want it, I want it, I want it. Lan Shuyan's eyes widened and he did a somersault and bounced up from the spot. He looked at his stomach and saw blood under his clothes. It was obvious that the attack from the cursed spirit had torn his stomach and even injured his internal organs. This mouthful of blood was the evidence. He himself didn't realize that this kind of injury was enough to make a normal person unable to move, but he was like nothing happened. Just to remind you, your mirror flower cannot be activated. Because I tampered with the glasses, if you take them off, you can't see the cursed spirits, so your mirror flower won't be able to activate. Gojo Satoru and Fushiguro Megumi jumped directly onto the rooftop and handed it over to Lan Shuyan. This sudden remark made Lan Shuyan dumbfounded. What the hell? Mirror flower can't be used. And if he takes off his glasses, he still can't activate mirror flower because he can't see the cursed spirits. What should he do? Even with mirror flower, he can only have a 50-50 chance, and then find a way to solve it. Then, if he can't use mirror flower, isn't he just a lamb to be slaughtered? Lan Shuyan was stunned. He had thought that the upper and lower limits of his abilities were outrageous. But he had never thought it was this outrageous. Without the glasses that could see cursed spirits, he couldn't activate his abilities at all. And now Gojo Satoru had tampered with his glasses, so he could see cursed spirits but couldn't activate his abilities. What should I do? Snake girl, monster girl, cursed spirit. My favorite monster girl, Lan Shuyan said with great sorrow. This made Fushiguro Megumi's mouth twitch. What the hell, this person, you care about this? I really don't understand this person's hobby. Is she not good looking or not fragrant as a normal human woman? But before Lan Shuyan could say anything else, the snake girl cursed spirit had already taken action again, and the tail swept over like a steel whip, shattering the concrete ground along the way. No, even if I die, I want to be Shu Xian. Lan Shuyan suddenly swung the nunchaku in his hand. And the movement of swinging the nunchaku was very smooth. Lan Shuyan remembered that this special grade cursed tool Yuyun was very strong. Lan Shuyan knew very well that his physical fitness was not as good as Yuji Itadori. But in fact, he was much stronger than ordinary people. Because his grandfather was a very old-fashioned and conservative person, and his family was a martial arts family passed down from ancient times. When he was in school, he was forced to practice martial arts every winter and summer vacation, and even if he was studying on campus, he had to insist on exercising every day. So Lan Shuyan swung the nunchaku quickly, his eyes fixed on the whipping snake tail, and forcibly swung the nunchaku to leave countless afterimages, and he rushed towards the snake lady instead of retreating. Even though Fengliu caused wounds to continue to appear on his body, he didn't care at all. Sure enough, how could Lan Shuyan, a Chinese, not know how to use the nunchaku? And he is really crazy. Normal people wouldn't charge forward like this. Gojo Satoru grinned, his tone was obviously very satisfied. There are no normal people among sorcerers, and daily battle madness is a common thing. Lan Shuyan didn't hear what Gojo Satoru said. He held the 3-section staff, Yuyun, and deflected the snake lady's tail, and was already very close. It has to be said. The power of Yuyun, which is worth 500 million, is really great. After being whipped all the way, the snake lady's tail has been bumpy. This made the snake lady open her mouth, and the corners of her mouth were directly grinned to her ears. She roared at Lan Shuyan, and her tail directly used the magic power to regenerate. Then the snake lady flexibly waved her tail, and whipped Lan Shuyan again like a whip. And Lan Shuyan cleverly used the 3-section staff to defense and attack. Lan Shuyan has adapted to the attack speed of the snake lady, which makes Lan Shuyan feel very strange, because the more carefully he looks, the more he feels that he can see the trajectory of the snake lady's attack. And the 3-section staff is as flexible as a wandering cloud in his hand. Sometimes curling, sometimes stretching. Every swing is accompanied by the sound of breaking wind, and it also takes away the scales and flesh of the snake lady's tail. Gradually, Lan Shuyan seems to have entered a strange state. The snake lady's tail attack is like a storm, and Lan Shuyan suddenly launched a counterattack while defending. Lan Shuyan entangled the snake lady's tail with the 3-section staff, pulled hard, and the snake lady lost her balance, and then took the opportunity to bully her. Ha ha ha, don't resist me so much. Let me love you well. Lan Shuyan's eyes widened, his expression extremely distorted. The strong desire for the snake girl made Lan Shuyan crazy. Before Lan Shuyan noticed, the palm of his hand holding Yuyun actually emitted a white aura, and the surface of the red Yuyun also emitted a black and blue intertwined spell power, but the color was soon assimilated by the white emitted from Lan Shuyan's palm. Ha 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 ha, come on, let's have fun together. Lan Shuyan's crazy grinning mouth was about to tear apart. At this moment, the snake lady seemed to be very frightened and wanted to pull back. She couldn't understand why a human without any magic power, a human who looked very weak, could withstand the attack of her tail. And why was this human not afraid? More importantly, why in a moment, he burst out with an aura that frightened her. Coming, under the stimulation, he had inadvertently transformed his emotions into positive energy, and also led Yuyun to transform the negative energy he carried into positive energy. That move is coming. Gojo Satoru has already taken off his eye patch, and his 6 eyes are fixed on Lan Shuyan. Fushiguro Megumi is confused, but he still stares at Lan Shuyan. In fact, he really can't see what's special about Lan Shuyan at this moment. At the beginning, Fushiguro Megumi felt that Lan Shuyan was really a little weak. Compared with his previous fight with Sukuna, there was a world of difference. Although he had physical skills, they were not too impressive. Even a powerful cursed tool like Yuyun looked very weak when used by Lan Shuyan. If he were to use it, he only needed to charge a stick to kill instantly. But then Fushiguro Megumi began to face Lan Shuyan, because Lan Shuyan he quickly adapted to the attack rhythm of the Snake Lady, and was able to accurately use the 3-section staff to accurately resist. Can all Chinese people really use the 3-section staff? And Lan Shuyan is here. The Snake Lady seemed to want to escape, but Lan Shuyan had already thrown the Yuyun, which was emitting white energy, to the Snake Lady's waist. Then, the moment the 3rd section of Yuyun touched the Snake Lady's waist, countless white lightning patterns exploded. They spread like petals of exploding buds, and even broke through the limitations of space. You can see that the air seems to shatter like a mirror. Bang! A burst of explosions like a sonic boom echoed. The Snake Lady didn't even make a sound. The snake came out, and its entire body exploded like fireworks, with blood and minced meat splattering all over the surroundings, and also covering Lan Shuyan's entire body. Even the destructive power of the aftermath directly crushed the cement road where the Snake Lady was into powder, extremely close to sand. Fushiguro Megumi suddenly widened his eyes. This power was too outrageous. As for Lan Shuyan, he was completely dumbfounded, and his expression was frozen in the moment of a hideous smile. What the hell? Where's my Snake Lady? Where's my Snake Lady? Where's a Snake Lady as big as me? How come she's gone? How come she's gone? My Snake Lady, why are you gone? How can I be Shu Xian if you are gone? Lan Shuyan was like a madman, squatting and touching the flesh on the ground. But the flesh had quickly turned into black ashes and dissipated. After all, not only the body of the Snake Lady, but also the core inside her body was blown up. Oh, no. Lan Shuyan knelt on the ground, heartbroken. Countless snowflakes were falling from the sky. If it was paired with snowflakes fluttering, the north wind whistling, and the world was vast, it would have that flavor. Well, the snowflakes were Qingshan Shuiji floating over Lan Shuyan. Fushiguro Megumi's mouth twitched violently after a shout. He always felt that the people around him were more stupid than each other. At the same time, there was movement above them, and a curse covering a broken arm was falling. However, huge black nails soon emerged from his body, and then turned into black ashes, and the black air in the entire building disappeared. Gojo Satoru looked up at the sky, grinned, and put his eye patch back on. It seems that Yujin and Chiangwei have also been dealt with. Gojo Satoru said as he walked to Lan Shuyan. He patted Lan Shuyan on the shoulder. Hi, Lan. Don't be too sad. Don't you still have Miss Qingshan? Gojo Satoru comforted Lan Shuyan, because Lan Shuyan was really sad at this moment. If you touch the snow girl chicken, it will directly turn into a frozen chicken, because Lan Shuyan strongly suspected that Qingshan Shuiji must be frozen inside. But this snake girl is different. That mouth that can be exaggeratedly grinned with a huge arc, that thick and long tail, Lan Shuyan feels that he can play a lot of tricks, and the wet books he read are not in vain. So, did you get the feeling just now? Gojo Satoru's tone suddenly became serious. This made Lan Shuyan, who was heartbroken over the loss of Snake Lady, frown. The feeling just now. Lan Shuyan thought about it carefully, and then suddenly reacted, looking at his hands holding the 3-section staff Yuyun with a little uncertainty. I felt a surge of power just now, but now it's gone. And I can feel that the force just now was very strong, and Yuyun is like a part of my body. That feeling is amazing, Lan Shuyan muttered to himself. The feeling just now was as comfortable as reading a book and then shivering all over. That is your other ability. I remember there is an idiom in China, called mirror round and jade matching. This is your technique, a natural technique. Your eyes and your hands are the abilities bestowed by heaven and curse. The desire you burst out for the Snake Lady during the battle was transformed into curse power by the spell of your hands, mirror round and perfect, and it is a reversal spell that is difficult for us sorcerers to master. Furthermore, the negative energy in the floating cloud you hold will also be assimilated by your mirror round combination. But what's even more amazing is that you can complement the positive energy generated by your palms with the positive energy drawn by the clouds. Let me put it this way. You can think of the attack you just made as a black flash, but it is a black flash made with positive energy, and it is also a black flash that can be made anytime you want. It has a nice name, called. Gojo Satoru has recently investigated a lot about Lan Shuyan's family background, and also investigated the Ming Dynasty-style building where Lan Shuyan was previously. Flowers in the Mirror. What a beautiful name. Its attack is indeed very harmful. It's just that Qingshan Shuiji suddenly floated down. She had changed back to her original wife's appearance. Her arms were around Lan Shuyan's neck again, and her palms were rubbing Lan Shuyan's cheeks. The power of its attack, the white lightning, is like exploding flowers, and then these flowers will explode the space, making the space shattered like a mirror. So, that's why it has the name, Viewing Flowers in the Mirror. Qingzhan Shuiji's voice was still gentle, and even Lan Shuyan could tell that she had some nostalgic feelings. Many people may not understand this. Let's make a simple analogy, using the work, Bleach. Cursed power is spiritual power, and the technique is the Zanpakuto. The injection of cursed power into the technique is the technique forward conversion, which can be understood as the initial release ability of the Zanpakuto. Then, by constantly improving and familiarizing yourself with your own technique, you can use the ultimate move, Extreme Edition, which can be regarded as Bankai. Then, after you have imagined a field that suits you, you can expand the field, which can be regarded as Kurosaki Ichigo's Moonless State, the second stage of Bankai release. Using Gojo Satoru as an analogy, cursed power plus technique plus completion of the forward conversion technique equals move, technique forward conversion Kang. As for the reversal technique, that is, cursed power plus cursed power equals positive energy, and you can complete the reversal technique to heal yourself, and reversing the technique plus the technique is the reversal of the technique. Using Gojo Satoru as an analogy, cursed power plus cursed power, reversal technique plus completion of the technique reversal equals move, technique reversal He. Lan Shuyan's, Viewing Flowers in the Mirror, is to complete the technique reversal by negatively adding negatives to positives, and then drive the negative energy of Yuyun in his hands to positive energy by injecting the technique into his hands, and then impact and combine the positive energy of his palms with the positive energy of Yuyun, and you can play, Viewing Flowers in the Mirror. That is, after emotions become cursed power plus cursed power, reversal technique plus technique reversal plus successful reversal plus cursed tool equals, Viewing Flowers in the Mirror. Miss Qingshan is right, this is indeed the name. What I engraved in your glasses is infinity. My infinity. It can delay the information your eyes see, so you can't activate the mirror flower. But the restriction spell I engraved on your glasses was also broken by you in the previous attack. Your flowers in the mirror can break space, and my infinity is actually similar to space. Gojo Satoru was cynical again. He didn't have any concerns at all. This made Lan Shuyan stunned for a moment. In other words, can I kill you? Lan Shuyan grinned, looking at Gojo Satoru with full of malice. Well, just because you can break my infinity doesn't mean you can kill me. Blue. After all, I am the strongest. Gojo Satoru moved his head closer to Lan Shuyan, and the tips of their noses were about to touch again. But Qingshan Shuiji floated back and forcibly pulled Lan Shuyan back. Don't compete with me for a man. Qingshan Shuiji's eyes were full of disdain, but she didn't show Gojo Satoru her panties. This almost made Gojo Satoru unable to hold back, and he felt terrible. Me, Gojo Satoru, although I don't have anyone I like, but if I have to have one, I must like women. Anyway, wasn't I injured just now? Why don't I feel any pain? Lan Shuyan suddenly remembered that he had been attacked by the snake lady for a long time, but now he was fine. He opened his clothes and looked at his abdominal muscles. There were no wounds except for the dried blood. In fact, when you were first hit, your desire for the snake lady had already been transformed into positive energy, and acted on your body to perform a reverse healing spell. Otherwise, the initial attack would have been enough to make you lie down. What a pity. I really feel deeply regretful that I can't see you asking me for help in such a desperate situation. Qingshan Shuiji touched Lan Shuyan's cheeks with both hands, her tone full of regret. Lan Shuyan rolled his eyes. Humph, you can never conquer me. Do you still want a beautiful woman to save a beautiful man and then freeze my dick? You are beautiful, but you also wishful thinking. Just wait for me to conquer you. Huh, why is this place so damaged? It was at this time that Yuji Itadori and Nobara Kugasaki came out of the building, and they brought a little boy with them. In fact, when Lan Shuyan was watching this animation, he always felt that the little boy who appeared here was a bit outrageous. Gojo Satoru and others obviously knew what was happening here first, and there should be support personnel watching nearby. How could a child go in? If they knew but did not take action, it would be a test of Nobara Kugasaki and Yuji Itadori, and they would not take the life of this child seriously. This is different from the concept of the sorcerer to help people. So, the identification is completed. The plot requires it, not rigorous. As in the original plot, Gojo Satoru and Fushiguro Megumi sent the little boy back. As for Nobara Kugasaki, Yuji Itadori and Lan Shuyan stayed where they were, and they all stared at the damaged road. To be precise, it was the group of people who repaired the road. It's outrageous. This group of people is really outrageous. The repair emphasizes proficiency. Even the rolling shutter door was made old, exactly the same as the original one, and even the position of the rust was the same, which was very outrageous. Sure enough, the support people can do everything except fighting. Speaking of which, can you guys stay away from me? Lan Shuyan was also a little speechless when he looked at the repairman. Because at this moment, Yuji Itadori and Nobara Kugasaki were both close to him, one holding Lan Shuyan's arm, with a satisfied expression on their faces. It's so cool. I really want to put a Lan in the room in the summer. Yuji Itadori and Nobara Kugasaki spoke in unison, both of them enjoying it to the point of liquid. After all, it's summer, and it's still very hot here. And because of Qingshan Shuiji, Lan Shuyan is always surrounded by cool air. Teacher, I'll give it back to you. After returning to the technical high school, Lan Shuyan returned the Yuyun in his hand to Gojo Satoru when they were alone together. In the original work, the owner of Yuyun was Maki from the Zenin family. But for some reason, Maki didn't like this special grade cursed tool very much. Only when the special grade cursed spirit Hanami appeared, she had to take it out of Fushigiro's shadow warehouse. And the upper and lower limits of Yuyun are the same as Lan Shuyan himself. Because its power depends on the strength of the user. The greater the power, the greater the effect. On the contrary, the smaller the power, the effect is estimated to be extremely low. You need a spell tool because you can't use two positive energy spells to add to each other. For example, if the positive energy of your own ability is 1, then the magic power of the magic tool is converted to positive energy 2, 1 plus 2 can be used to play Flowers in the Mirror. The power of Black Flash is 2.5 times the power of your own cursed power. Your Flowers in the Mirror is almost the same as Black Flash, but the power is positive plus positive to the power of 2.5, which is the so-called fifth power. This curse tool is worth 500 million yen. The teacher thinks you can buy it and use it yourself. Gojo Satoru did not take Yuyun, but said this. This made Lan Shuyan's mouth twitch. At the current exchange rate of the yen, 500 million yen should be converted into RMB close to 25 million. Although Lan Shuyan looks like an unemployed vagrant, he really has a lot of savings, so he can afford it. After all, as a plagiarist, he is definitely a top. I can afford it, but can I buy it? After all, there are so few special grade spell tools. Lan Shuyan thinks money is just a number. Fundamentally speaking, Yuyun was originally the first one to be possessed and used by your ancestor. But at this time, Qingshan Shuiji, who was hanging on Lan Shuyan's neck, spoke. And this opening made Lan Shuyan stunned for a moment. My ancestor. Oh, my ancestor. Lan Shuyan thought about it. The original work did not introduce the true origin of Yuyun. At first, it was used by Geto Suguru in the movie version, but Geto Suguru was the caterpillar curse spirit that Gojo Satoru met on the road after he killed Fushiguro Shinobu. Later, when Fushiguro Shinobu was resurrected by the Advent, he took it from Zenin Maki and used it. If you have to trace it back, then the first owner in the anime should be Fushiguro Shinobu, and then Geto Suguru in the movie version of Otsutsukoshi Yuta. After Geto Suguru's death, the cursed tool in the caterpillar's body was taken away by the high school, and then Zenin Maki took it out from the high school and used it. Well, it is indeed so in the records, but your ancestor Lan Daoxing is the first user in the records. When he used this Yuyun, he could even kill some weaker special grade cursed spirits with one strike against an ordinary rooster. Gojo Satoru did not deny Qingshan Shuiji's words. Lan Shuyan frowned. By the way, why does the name of his ancestor Lan Daoxing sound so familiar? Lan Shuyan took out his mobile phone and searched it. Baidu in this world can still search for a lot of things. Lan Daoxing, a Taoist priest during the Jiajing period of the Ming dynasty, was a Taoist priest trusted by Emperor Jiajing. In history, it was he who made the emperor addicted to Taoism, but he was also upright and dared to directly scold the powerful official Yan Song at the time. In the end, he was killed by Yan Song's scheme. The history of this world is similar to that of Lan Shuyan's original world. There were two famous Taoist priests in the Ming dynasty, one was Zhang Sanfeng and the other was Lan Daoxing. No, it was the Emperor Jiajing who gave the order, because the Emperor Jiajing had encountered a cursed spirit, and it was Lan Daoxing who rescued the Emperor Jiajing. In your ancient times, the concept of ruler-ruler relationship was very important. However, he did not die in Yan Song's trap, but died in Yukyu after sealing his concubine. Qingshan Shuiji loosened her arms around Lan Shuyan and floated in front of Lan Shuyan. You are as handsome as he was when he was young. I like you very much, and I also like your ability. So, I will definitely make you fall in love with me. Qingshan Shuiji smiled gently, and her open blue eyes reflected Lan Shuyan's handsome face. Hi. Please go back to your room if you want to talk about love. Now is the time for teachers and students. Gojo Satoru clapped his hands, which made Qingshan Shuiji look back at Gojo Satoru with disgust in her eyes, and then she turned into a white light and returned to Lan Shuyan's palm without saying a word. Speaking of this, I have a question. Lan Shuyan suddenly remembered something. Miss Qingshan is a special grade cursed spirit, right? I can understand being able to break the seal of the ancestors, but how did I turn Miss Qingshan into my Shikigami? Before I met you, teacher, I was just an ordinary person who didn't know the world of spells. Lan Shuyan has always been puzzled. He didn't get an answer when he asked Qingshan Shuiji privately. I don't know about this. Maybe it's because Miss Qingshan thought you were handsome and knew that you were Lan Daoxing's blood, so she voluntarily signed a binding contract with you. It's just that this restraint seems to be very free. Gojo Satoru pinched his chin and expressed his guess. After all, the Snow Girl is really a beauty lover. But it seems that she is a single-target beauty lover. But, I must remind you again that you really can't fall in love with Miss Qingshan, otherwise you will die, and Miss Qingshan will also get your mirror flower and water moon. Of course, you can't let Qingshan Shuiji fall in love with you, because the more she loves you, the deeper her feelings for you will be when your life ends. Then all her feelings for you will turn into a very powerful curse. In the worst case, the whole of Japan will be frozen. This is why your ancestors sealed her away. Fortunately, it was nearly 500 years after you were unsealed, which was enough time for Miss Qingshan's emotional transformation to dissipate directly. Gojo Satoru's expression was very serious. This is Gojo Satoru's most the reason why he wanted to silence Lan Shuyan and Qingshan Shuiji when he first saw them was because of his heart. Lan Shuyan was silent. Nothing can stop me from making Qingshan Shuiji fall in love with me. Qingshan Shuiji, who has all the attributes of poking people, is simply Lan Shuyan's ideal partner. Especially the attributes of being a wife and a ghost. If I have to add one more thing he learned later, it is that he can change his size at will, which also pokes him. Well, it's time to get down to business. I have a task, I will be away for a while. I hope that during this time, you can strengthen your physical abilities and get along well with Yujin and the others. Although you have no magical power and cannot feel the spell, you can actually reach the pinnacle of a sorcerer, which is to expand the field. I think Qingshan Shuiji can help you very well, because she knows your ability very well, just like she knows viewing flowers in the mirror. Miss Qingshan, I'm counting on you. Gojo Satoru said as he looked at the snowflake pattern on Lan Shuyan's palm. I won't. I don't like to do things that I am not interested in. Although Qingshan Shuiji was not outside, the voice appeared. Qingshan Shuiji was really full of rejection. But Wu Ho Wu didn't care, but patted Lan Shuyan's shoulder and turned away. Oh, by the way, Lan, Yuyan's money has been transferred to my account. I sent it to your phone. I'll give you a 12% discount, 600 million yen will be enough. Gojo Satoru said as he walked. This made Lan Shuyan's face full of question marks. Reverse discount, what the hell, but it doesn't matter, Yuyun feels very good when using it. 600 million is 600 million. Anyway, it's only about 30 million, no big deal. Blue, how strange. When I talked to him, he seemed to understand a lot of things I said. According to my investigation of him, he was indeed an ordinary person before, and had never been exposed to the world of magic. But he seems to know a lot. For example, Sukuna, curse tools, black flash, etc., he seemed to understand what these were, even though I hadn't explained them to him. Well, I hope he can get along well with Yuji. Gojo Satoru muttered to himself as he left. After Lan Shuyan separated from Gojo Satoru and used his mobile phone to transfer money to Gojo Satoru, Lan Shuyan suddenly remembered something on the way back to the dormitory. The next thing seems to be the juvenile detention center incident. It seems to be something in July. Is it that the high-level cursed people want to use the cursed spirit to solve the problem of Yuji Itadori? Well, never mind. Let's take it one step at a time. If the high-ranking sorcerers have me in their crosshairs, then I will help them. After all, I personally like Yuji Itadori's personality. By the way, the protagonists of hot-blooded anime seem to have more approachable personalities. He has a cheerful and sunny personality, and his values are ridiculously positive. Lan Shuyan muttered to himself. For the next period of time, Lan Shuyan trained with Yuji Itadori and the others every day, especially with Yuji Itadori. Lan Shuyan wanted to improve his physique and strength. The upper and lower limits of Mirror Flower and Water Moon are very outrageous. If the enemy also intervenes in other ways, and he does not, then he will easily get into trouble. Therefore, the active means of viewing flowers in the mirror is currently Lan Shuyan's greatest means. Of course, during the period, if there are tasks assigned, Lan Shuyan will solve them by himself, or team up with Yuji Itadori and others. However, Lan Shuyan is a little puzzled, because he always feels that female cursed spirits seem to be rare. Why are there no good-looking cursed spirits? I remember there are a lot of weird ghost legends in Japan. We have the Snow Girl, so we should have the others as well, right? For example, the new Luofu, the Fatuman, the Qingxingdang, the slit-mouthed woman, Tamamaname, Sadako and so on. Lan Shuyan complained a lot. After spending some time together, Itadori Yuji and others have figured out Lan Shuyan. Apart from his strange habits, Lan Shuyan is very good in other aspects, and he is very generous. He always buys a lot of expensive ingredients and even cooks by himself. This makes them addicted to Chinese food. Of course, it would be even better if Lan Shuyan didn't drag them to eat the breakfast prepared by Qingshan Shuiji for them. In just a few days, they went to Jiru Nozomi's place to restore their teeth several times. As for the slit-mouthed woman, there is one, but she has been exorcised. And the others you mentioned are also in the records, but they all ended up in the same way. Fushiguro Megumi responded to Lan Shuyan while pressing her phone. This made Lan Shuyan put his hand over his heart, his expression was full of grief. Ah, what a waste of resources. So many female monsters, it's exciting to think about it. I say, Lan, why do you like these strange female cursed spirits so much? You are very handsome and wealthy. If you are willing, there should be many girls who like you. Yujin Itadori put his hands behind his head and asked Lan Shuyan. Kugasaki Nobara also pricked up her ears curiously. To be honest, if Lan Shuyan's hobby was not strange, then Kugasaki Nobara would really have a feeling for Lan Shuyan. Because it's exciting. Moreover, sometimes, imaginary monsters are actually more humane than humans, just like how the song goes. Oh, I am afraid of ghosts, but ghosts have never hurt me. I am not afraid of people, but people have hurt me all over. Lan Shuyan responded indifferently, with many hidden meanings. This answer made everyone at the scene fall silent. They instantly imagined many things that Lan Shuyan had been hurt by, which led to his strange habits. Wait, Lan Shuyan suddenly stopped and muttered to himself. He touched his chin and thought about something that interested him very much. Inaction transformation. The ability of the special grade cursed spirit can change the souls of others. Then this ability must be able to change the souls of various cursed spirits, right? Suddenly, Lan Shuyan grinned and revealed an extremely bad smile. The kind of evil that unintentionally emanated was felt by Yuji Itadori and others. They all stepped back and stared at Lan Shuyan. Because Lan Shuyan's expression was really too distorted at this time. Or in other words, too obscene. But soon, Lan Shuyan's expression recovered. Because Lan Shuyan was thinking about other things at this time, he thought of other problems, and his desire was instantly suppressed by his other thoughts. I remember that if I use the water moon in my mirror flower and water moon to kill an enemy copied by mirror flower, I will have a chance to obtain the opponent's spell. Decided. I'll kill that guy. Lan Shuyan's smile gradually became perverted. Death and return. Plot. What does it have to do with him? Itadori Yuji is my, Lan Shuyan's, good brother. How can I let him face the real person? It's definitely not for the real person's ability. Ding ding ding. Just when Lan Shuyan was thinking about this, a cell phone rang. It was Fushiguro Megumi's phone. This made everyone look over. Fushiguro Megumi looked at the note on the phone screen and directly pressed the answer button. Hi, it's me. I understand. After saying this, Fushiguro Megumi hung up the phone. Then he looked at Lan Shuyan, Yuji Itadori, and Nobara Kugasaki. Mr. Ijichi said there is a problem that we need to solve, and he will explain the details to us after the situation is over. Lan, can you drive? Fushiguro Wei looked at Lan Shuyan. Yes, what's wrong? I drive really well, especially the posture of the old man pushing the cart, I really like it. The books in your country are really great. I like this pose the most in the books. Lan Shuyan thought for a moment and responded to Fushiguro Megumi. Fushiguro Megumi and Itadori Yuji were full of question marks. Kugasaki Nobara took a step back and showed a look of disgust. Let's go. Take a taxi. Lan pays. Fushiguro Megumi turned around and walked to the side of the road to stop a taxi, ready to take it to the destination. Fushiguro, don't go. You were the one who discussed driving with me first. I can talk to you for a long time. After all, I know a lot about this thing. I even bought a house to store my notebooks. Lan Shuyan chased after him. But Fushiguro Megumi said that she was disgusted. Itadori. Yuji looked at Lan Shuyan's back, then smiled and followed him. Kugasaki Nobara sighed and followed him. Lan Shuyan's personality is really too weird. To be precise, his hobbies are too weird. People think he's okay, but girls will definitely not like him. Half an hour later. Juvenile Management Center. When Lan Shuyan and others got off the car, the sky was already gray and it was obviously going to rain. The four of them came to the blocked Juvenile Management Center. At this time, Yi Digi Jiagao was already waiting here. He explained the current situation to Lan Shuyan and others. The plot was the same as Lan Shuyan knew. Cut. Those guys really dragged me into this. Then don't blame me for making trouble. Lan Shuyan's eyes turned cold. He hated being plotted against by others in secret. And Lan Shuyan vaguely sensed something strange about this incident. Although Gojo Satoru said that he would be executed if he refused to be monitored at that time. But it seems that the high-level curse arts are not aware of his existence, or they don't know his details, and just treat him as an existence like Zen and Maki. Because if the high-level knew, he should not be included in this design. Because he has Qingshan Shuiji, a special grade curse spirit. If the high level knew, they must know that this plan is impossible to succeed, because the newly grown special grade curse spirit and Qingshan Shuiji, who was a special grade curse spirit 1,000 years ago, are definitely not in the same dimension. You've been tricked. Did Gojo Satoru, that guy, think of me as a talisman for Itadori Yuji? Lan Shuyan smiled bitterly. Having lived 2 lives in this situation, it was easy for him to analyze it. However, being schemed by Gojo Satoru was better than being schemed by the high-level curse technique master. After all, Gojo Satoru would not harm his life, and the high-level curse technique master obviously wanted to kill Itadori Yuji, and the lives of other people did not matter at all. Blue. Lan. When Lan Shuyan was thinking about this, Yuji Itadori patted Lan Shuyan's shoulder and called his name in confusion. This made Lan Shuyan come back to his senses and looked at Yuji Itadori. It's okay, have you heard it? Let's go. Lan Shuyan turned around first and walked towards the gate of the Juvenile Detention Center. Fushiguro Megumi frowned. He felt that Lan Shuyan had been thinking about something after knowing that they were in the Juvenile Detention Center, but he still walked towards the gate with Yuji Itadori and Nobara Kugasaki, and summoned the Jade Dog at the same time. As soon as they entered the Juvenile Detention Center, they found the environment very strange. There were all kinds of high-rise buildings inside. And the exit also disappeared. Well, it's the turn of the silly duo to go online. Fushiguro Megumi ignored them, but walked to Lan Shuyan's side. Lan, what's wrong? You acted strangely when you got here. Fushiguro Wei asked Lan Shuyan. Although he didn't know Lan Shuyan, he still had trust in him as a teammate after spending some time with him. Don't you think it's strange? For a few people who are not sure whether they are dead or alive, we first-year students came here to rescue them, and the cursed spirits here are of special grade. Lan Shuyan looked at Fushiguro Megumi and had to say that Fushiguro Megumi was quite smart. No, it's just a possibility, not a definite one. Fushiguro Megumi corrected Lan Shuyan's words. So, what about this incomplete domain? The formation of a domain is something that only very few cursed spirits can do, right? And basically only special grade cursed spirits can do it, right? Lan Shuyan pointed around. This made Fushiguro Megumi silent. He knew that what Lan Shuyan said was right. The high-ranking curse masters want to use the cursed spirits here to kill Yuji. Even if they can't kill him, killing you and Kugasaki would be a provocation to Gojo-sensei. Lan Shuyan smiled lightly. No, I think even if there is a special grade, it shouldn't be killed because of you. Your Mirror Flower Water Moon is already usable, and you also have a virtual special grade curse spirit. This is also why I didn't ask Mr. Ijichi why he didn't arrange a first-level sorcerer to follow us. When you are alone, your lower limit is very low, but with us around, your upper limit should be very high. Fushiguro Megumi's thinking is very clear. So, what if Gojo-sensei didn't report my true information to the higher-ups? Lan Shuyan suddenly asked a question that surprised Fushiguro Wei. The silly duo also stopped. They all looked at Lan Shuyan, and then fell silent. Sorry, everyone. Yuji Itadori suddenly bowed his head and apologized. He also thought of something. It shouldn't be. Nobara Kugasaki wanted to say something, but before she could finish, her whole body seemed to sink into the ground and disappeared. This made Yuji Itadori immediately turn around and reach out to grab Nobara Kugasaki's hand, but he was still a step too slow. Yuji, go immediately. Fushiguro Megumi was about to say something, but Lan Shuyan grabbed him by the collar and threw him towards the cave entrance. The speed was so fast that it made Fushiguro Megumi's face look like a wave. Fushiguro Megumi and Kugasaki Nobara completely disappeared at the cave entrance. Only Yuji and Lan Shuyan were left here. No need to apologize, this is not your fault. After all, I like your personality. And I don't like being calculated against. Lan Shuyan said, and suddenly a wandering cloud emerged from his palm, which was thrown into Qingshan Shuiji's living domain by Lan Shuyan. Then he stared at the surroundings with his eyes, and in the next moment, the wandering cloud was thrown out. Almost at the same time, Yuji Itadori also drew out the Tsuzumozu and slashed between them. But, Yuji Itadori's hand holding the Tsuzumozu was cut directly from the wrist with a neat incision, and even the Tsuzumozu was directly broken. Then Yuji Itadori flew backwards, and blood continued to ooze out of the cuts on his mouth and arms. As for Lan Shuyan, a bloody scar appeared on his entire chest. Because in the previous moment, Lan Shuyan's movements were faster than his vision, and he did not look back, so he did not capture the figure of this special grade cursed spirit, so his mirror flower did not trigger. It hurts. A fellow who is not even a female cursed spirit, don't show up. Lan Shuyan's strangely dark eyes were now fixed on the not-so-intelligent finger curse spirit in front of him. The same curse power as its own began to emerge from its body, and it used the reversal technique, and the wound on its chest recovered quickly. The finger curse spirit immediately noticed the change in Lan Shuyan, and its expression changed immediately and distanced itself. It clearly felt that Lan Shuyan was just a human being, without any curse power, but why did the curse power become as much as its own now? Cut. Mirror flower. This ability is really speechless. Lan Shuyan was really helpless at this time, because he and the finger curse spirit had pulled the same distance, and even let go of Yuyun, and his movements became exactly the same as the mirrored finger curse spirit in front of him. As long as the finger curse spirit did not move, he could not move either. And as long as the finger curse spirit moved, he would do the same movement. Should I unlock the mirror flower and then directly use the water moon to solve it within 10 seconds? Can I do it? To be honest, Lan Shuyan wanted to do this. He wanted to find a way to make it advantageous without relying on a third party to join in, and he didn't want to rely too much on the Qingshan Shuiji in his palm. Lan Shuyan has lived 2 lives, and he knows clearly that it is not advisable to place hope on others. Unless it is absolutely necessary, Lan Shuyan really does not want to do that. Whether it is human or cursed spirit, they are all a kind of living creature. Being a living creature will have its own heart, the heart, as desire and sin. Sometimes the human heart is scarier than ghosts. But soon, Lan Shuyan's face became solemn, because he didn't know when. A huge wall of meat directly blocked his sight, and the mirror flower disappeared instantly because he lost the sight of the finger curse spirit. It is called the finger curse spirit because there is Sukuna's finger in the hole in its chest. Its real name should be the cursed child Dai Tien. Before being completely blocked, Lan Shuyan saw that Yuji Itadori had clenched his fist and rushed towards the finger curse spirit. Tiger stick, don't worry and release Su Nan. As for me, don't worry. Fushiguro and the others should also know that they will definitely leave here immediately after exorcising their opponents. Lan Shuyan roared. Because he had just copied the mirror image of the finger curse spirit, Lan Shuyan could also feel the information of this field. At the moment when this meat wall appeared, Lan Shuyan suddenly felt that the breath of Fushiguro Megumi and Kugasaki Nobara had left the field, so he said so. Then Lan Shuyan, who had resumed his action, looked around and found a dwarf with Mount Fuji on his head, and a monk in monk clothes, that is, Geto Suguru controlled by Nozomi. Luahu. Lan Shuyan was shocked. Right. Why are 2 special grade cursed spirits here? Butterfly effect. Human little devil, we won't let you interfere with our plan. The coral showed its black teeth. Do you know me? Lan Shuyan touched his chin with his fingers and looked at Luhu and Sha Yuji, who was controlled by the rope. Of course, Sha Yuji, who was controlled by the rope, looked at Lan Shuyan's palm. According to the records of the world of curse, 150 years ago, Kamo Kento of the Aimo family would use human women for experiments, let them have with cursed spirits and get pregnant, and created the 9 phases of curse fetus that shocked the world of curse. But no one knows why he would think of doing this experiment. Xiao Yujia began to talk about inexplicable things. Then, can you tell me why? Lan Shuyan looked at Sha Yuji, who was walking over. This made Lan Shuyan a little interested. Lan Shuyan also knew that Kamo Kenlin and Sha Yuji were all nooses. And Lan Shuyan knew clearly that he could not beat them. Because here, including the finger curse spirit, there are a total of 4 special grade curse spirits. Especially the 2 here are very tricky. Sha Yuji seemed to be interested in chatting, and his disguised smile was still bright. Because the first cursed spirit that could have with humans was. But before Geto Shiu could finish his words, a huge gust of cold air rushed towards his face. However, it was blocked by a huge cursed spirit that suddenly appeared in front of Geto Shiu, but the relative price was that the cursed spirit was directly turned into an ice sculpture. How anxious. Snow girl, do you really not want people to know your past? Sha Yuji walked out from behind the ice sculpture and squinted at Qingshan Shuiji, who was lurking in front of Lan Shuyan. At this time, Qingshan Shuiji's eyes, which had been basically closed all the time, were completely opened, and the curse power emitted made the surroundings completely frozen. Shut up. Qingshan Shuiji tilted her head, her voice sounded like it came from the netherworld. This was the first time Lan Shuyan had seen an enraged Qingshan Shuiji during the time they had been together, and Lan Shuyan had already heard from Sha Yuji that the first person to have love with a human and successfully get pregnant and give birth to a child was the Qingshan Shuiji in front of him. Qingshan Shuiji had been developed, and was still the mother of a child. Lan Shuyan suddenly felt as if something had hit his fetish again. Giving birth to a child. What? Not the first time. Is this setting toxic? Are you kidding? Think about it from another angle. It's you who has made others proud, and you must be excited when you think about it. You just came out of the seal, right? If this little ghost hadn't signed a contract with you, and you had become a Shikigami-like being, then you wouldn't even be able to show your own form, right? Are you sure you want to fight us? Sha Yuji didn't seem nervous, because he knew clearly that Qingshan Shuiji had just come out of the seal and was not very strong. I'm curious, if you're not here to fight, then what are you here for? Lan Shuyan stretched out his hand and held Qingshan Shuiji's palm, gently pulling her back and protecting Qingshan Shuiji behind him. Although Lan Shuyan knew that he was a pervert, he couldn't hide behind a female. As a man, he couldn't hide behind a female even if he died. Even if Lan Shuyan knew that his fighting power was limited. And Lan Shuyan could clearly know that his mirror flower was not activated. This meant that Sha Yuji in his sight had no hostility. As for Lu Hu, there was no hostility either, at least not at the moment. Certainly, I want you to join us. Sha Yuji still used his hypocritical smile to face Lan Shuyan. Yes. To Sha Yuji's surprise, Lan Shuyan actually answered yes. This made Sha Yuji stunned, and all the following words were stuck. No, don't you ask why. After living for more than 1,000 years, his brain was a little confused. Qingshan Shuiji also pinched Lan Shuyan's face from behind, revealing a very kind smile on his face. Nay, Lan, do you know what this guy did to your ancestors? Qingshan Shuiji's tone was full of coldness. It hurts, it hurts. Lan Shuyan grabbed Qingshan Shuiji's wrist and asked her to let go. Listen to me. Lan Shuyan rubbed his cheeks. Ice chips were falling off and his cheeks were about to break. If my face is disfigured, you will have to support me for the rest of my life. I have a condition, that is, let me kill a cursed spirit called Zhenren on your side, how about it? Lan Shuyan stated his condition. Join you, what a joke. I know I, Lan Shuyan, am a pervert, but I am not stupid at all, okay. Follow you, and then be killed by Gojo Satoru in 1 second, right? Although he is a setting for talking big. But let's put aside the fact that he was cut in half. Gojo Satoru is really strong. Although it is a setting aside. As long as I get the ability of Zhenren, I, Lan Shuyan, will eat it all and wipe my mouth. Of course, if a bondage is established, Lan Shuyan will directly refuse, and then deal with Zhenren later. He doesn't have the ability to get stuck with the bondage bug like Sukuna. Lan Shuyan suddenly fell silent. It seems that he also has a lot of things to get stuck. Why not try it later? Anyway, it's not bad to buy bondage with a loan. Little devil, I'll kill you. Before Sha Yuji could say anything, Lu Hu had already walked over step by step with a strong curse. Lu Hu, Zhenren, Hua Yu, and Tuogan, although the four of them sometimes quarreled, they actually had a very deep relationship. If you dare to agree, I will kill you too. Lu Hu walked over, staring at Sha Yuji. Sha Yuji certainly would not agree, because he also needed the real person's technique, and it was impossible for him to let Lan Shuyan kill him. Although he didn't know why Lan Shuyan wanted to kill the real person, he still knew Lan Shuyan's ability. When Shuiyu killed the target of the mirror copy, there would be a certain probability that he would obtain the opponent's technique and leave it in his body. What a shame, in my opinion you would be the best choice to deal with Gojo Satoru. Lu Hu, you can deal with him as you like. Snow Girl, I will help you keep an eye on her and won't let her get involved. After saying this, Sha Yuji waved his hand. And suddenly a strange-looking cursed spirit appeared beside him. Herpes God. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.